everyone, welcome back to Utility Sports. I am so excited to be live once again on the channel, and tonight is a night that will change NBA history. Very rarely can you say that, but really tonight is one of the biggest deals in the last 5 years. Obviously, the 2023 NBA Draft Lottery, I had proclaimed how important that lottery was before the San Antonio Spurs ultimately walked away with the first overall pick, claiming the rookie draft rights and restricted free agency rights ultimately for Victor Wembanyama a couple of draft lotteries ago. The 2024 draft lottery was a pretty crazy one as well. Atlanta jumped up to the first overall pick, got a very good young rookie in Zachary Reese-Sachet, not quite to the level of Wembanyama. And of course, this year's main event, the main native Cooper Flag. And I am just so excited for another big time draft lottery. And I want to hear your guys' predictions right now for the top four. I will be sharing mine. Samuel kicked us off saying, calling it now, Jazz, Raptors, Wizards, Nets in the top four. Brendan here is rooting for the Sacramento Kings. Remember, their pick is protected, top 12. So right now, if they don't move up in the lottery, that pick will belong to Atlanta. So a lot riding on it tonight for Sacramento. We'll talk about everything you need to know about all of the teams in the lottery tonight. Chris saying Nets, Spurs, Rockets, Jazz. Clearly looking like a Nets fan there with that Cooper Flag Brooklyn jersey swap. Darius here says Jazz, Nets, Wizards, 76ers. Appreciate you all a ton. Elliot says if the Spurs get one, the NBA is rigged. There is a pretty good chance that they actually do get the first overall pick. If we look at the odds right now, they have a 6% chance at the first overall pick. That is not a 0% chance. That is not nothing. That is a very real possibility that San Antonio, out of the 1,000 combinations awarding the first overall pick, there are 60 combinations that would ultimately provide San Antonio the right to draft Cooper Flag first overall in 2025. So while it might look rigged, there is a legitimate chance at that. Now, a team that I think other people would say would be extremely rigged is Dallas. They have 3 times less likely odds to get the first overall pick than San Antonio. Instead of 60 combinations, they have just 18 combinations. Of course, the Mavericks are my favorite team. You guys saw me at the trade deadline become absolutely devastated and distraught as a Mavericks fan. Is there cahoots with the NBA? I really don't think there is, but if they do get the first overall pick tonight, people will be very upset. Sheldon here says Rockets, Wizards, and Nets. Andres says the NBA is rigged, Spurs getting in. I'm willing it to existence. Andres, I like that for you. Jerry here says, hey, how many hours until the lottery? Let's jump over to this screen. I've got everything prepped for today's stream to be as seamless, easy, and simple as possible. We're going to talk about it, and you can see on the bottom ticker here, we're going to go through some lottery simulations, talk about a bunch of potential outcomes and possibilities, which has me very excited. We're also going to look at the NBA Draft Lottery odds. We just previewed them quickly there. We'll go back to them, talk about them quite a bit tonight as well. Obviously, leading up to the 7 p.m. Eastern Time draft lottery itself, I'm extremely excited. And then obviously as well, we'll talk about the prospects, some potential trade options if something crazy happens. We'll also look at the NBA Draft Lottery itself tonight, react live to it. I am very excited to have everyone in here. We are just a bit under 3 hours away. I will be live this entire 3 hours and during the actual NBA Draft Lottery itself as well. And a little bit of a hint, a little bit of a preview, there will be a mock draft full first round tonight. After the lottery, I will go record, and you guys will have a whole hour plus of content to watch tonight on the NBA draft. It will be an instant reaction mock draft, something I typically don't do because I like to spend a lot of time and thought into each mock selection I make so I can rationalize it. Tonight's going to be a little bit different, a lot more fun, honestly, because it's going to be such an off-the-cuff, hey, let's go record on the NBA Draft Lottery results. So I'm really excited for that as well. I hope you guys are all looking forward to that. Appreciate you all for sending in your thoughts. JFX says, low-key Rockets deserve #1 pick. They obviously have steered their rebuild in the right direction. Appreciate you all for being in here. Justin says, praying my Spurs get some lottery luck. Definitely would be crazy if they move up in the top 4. Norin says Houston's picking first, Oklahoma City 7th. That would be some irony. Norin, first of all, thank you for all your support on all the draft content this year. Really do always appreciate reading your comments, seeing your thoughts, and you sharing your opinions with me. I always appreciate that. For those who don't know, I do read every single comment on the channel, and I have a pretty photographic memory, so I'm able to remember usernames, able to remember who's saying what, and all the support I do always appreciate. So Norman, shout out to you. Jamal, appreciate you. We'll see if the Washington Wizards can walk out pretty well tonight. Amadou says, go Spurs, go. JP says, I am Blazers at 3%. Let's go back over to the lottery odds here quick. Portland, a 3.7% chance tonight at the first overall pick. 37 combinations out of the 1,000. That's not a 0% chance. Again, very, very realistic possibility that the Blazers could walk away with Cooper Flag, and what a defensive front court that would be, with Toumani Camara, one of the best perimeter defenders in the entire world, Donovan Clingan, one of the best shot blockers in the world. I believe he ranked second in block percentage this year. On his blocks per 36 were just gaudy, unreal numbers, only trailing, of course, Victor Wembanyama. So, wow, what a front court that would be defensively moving forward. And Jared brings a good point. It's actually a little bit higher than 6% because of the Hawks pick here that would convey to San Antonio, regardless of where that pick is. Now, 97% of the time, that pick's going to be number 14. But again, 7 combinations out of 1,000 would award the Spurs the first pick with this Hawks selection. So could you imagine if that hit? Oh my goodness, the world would be freaking out. What a crazy, crazy event that would be. Ashley says Houston top 4, then trade to Milwaukee for Van Vliet, Landale, Phoenix. I think you'll probably need a bit more than that unless you get the first pick. And if I get the first pick, I'm not trading it for Giannis Antetokounmpo. We'll talk about that more in today's stream as well. Silver Jaguar says, this is my first time watching the lottery live. How long does the entire thing take usually? So again, we are live a few hours in advance, just because I love talking with you guys, spending some time. And I want to give you a really fully encompassing show today. So that's why I'm live so early. But the whole lottery takes about 5 minutes, 10 minutes with some commercials in there. So it goes by quite quick, which is crazy because the buildup is all year long, the anticipation. I know a lot of fans have pretty much been waiting for the lottery since December, when your team is clearly out of it. Think about teams like Utah, Charlotte, Washington, teams that are in the middle of rebuilds, right up here, New Orleans, who had such bad injury luck this year. A lot of these fan bases have been waiting for today. So today is such a big deal. And I'm wishing your team best of luck. The GOAT says we win in the championship next year. Zion, Trey Murphy, Flag, Herb, and Eves. Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But if the Pelicans get the first pick, they will be a pretty fun young team. Enigmatical here says, rooting for the Raptors. We want to compete this year, so a top 4 pick would be amazing. Appreciate you all so much. Bach here says, would you trade number 1 for Giannis if you are Houston? No, I would not. And the answer to that, I know people are going to say, well, why would you not do that? Giannis is way better than Cooper Flag right now, and that is completely true. And while I do not disagree at all, Giannis is a significantly better basketball player today. He will be a significantly better basketball player next season and the season after that probably than Cooper Flag. The reality here, though, is Cooper Flag is going to be making about $12-ish million on his rookie contract for 4 seasons. And then after that, you have restricted free agency rights, where he will almost certainly sign a maximum rookie contract extension with the typical all-NBA escalators in there, very similar to what Anthony Edwards and Tyrese Halliburton signed about 2 off seasons ago now with their respective franchises. I think for a team drafting Cooper Flag, you don't look at it as a 1 to 3 year situation. You look at it as a 9-year, 10-year investment. And that's where Cooper Flag is going to far outlast the next 10 years of Giannis Antetokounmpo. While yes, trading for Giannis could really elevate your team, Houston, who is extremely young already, the more team control, the better, especially as they have extensions kicking in for guys like Jabari Smith, Tari Eason. Obviously, Shane Good and Jalen Green got extensions last summer. Cooper Flag being a cheap rookie contract would actually be very beneficial for them. So no, I would not trade Cooper Flag, although I think this is a great question and one that, people are going to speculate about. This is why I tweeted this an hour ago, because I do foresee this becoming a real question for whoever gets the first pick. If it's Brooklyn, if it's Houston, there's a variety of other teams, Philadelphia, right? Maybe there's some questions if they would use Paul George's contract in the first pick to go for Giannis. There's questions around it. And Giannis is a top 3 player in the world, top 4 player in the world, whatever way you want to shake it out. At the end of the day, Cooper Flag, very early in his career, is going to be a top 30 player in the world. Probably not his rookie season. He'll be like a fringe all-star, top 35-ish maybe. Cooper Flag in year 1. And then going into year 2, he'll be a top 25-ish player, I would project. And then going into years 3 through 5, he's a top 20, 15-ish type player. It's just hard to give up someone on a rookie contract who's making pennies on the dollar compared to a supermax like what Giannis is on. It's just very, very difficult to really fully realize that. Ryan, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you back in here. Ryan was watching the channel years and years ago. So Ryan's a real OG, says stoked to see Toronto somehow drop pick 31 because Canada. That would be obviously insane if something unprecedented happened. Levi says, go Spurs, go. Appreciate you, Levi. Bridger says say the Jazz fall to 4 or 5 and say Philadelphia got pick 2. Could the Jazz eat Paul George's contract and pick 2 for Markkanen and either 4 or 5? I definitely think that would be a possibility. Bridger, I do think that Paul George contract is one to watch with regard to wherever Philadelphia goes. But one thing that is important, if we go back over here, Philadelphia, if they fall to pick 7, which there's a real chance that they could be at 7, 8, or even 9, these picks convey to Oklahoma City because it is top 6 protected. So that is something that is very, very notable tonight going into the actual lottery. So for those who are curious, here are the NBA Draft Lottery representatives tonight. The Utah Jazz have co-owner Ashley Smith. Washington Wizards have former first-round pick last year, Bub Carrington, in the house. Charlotte has their head coach, Charles Lee. New Orleans has Zion Williamson. We have a couple of Duke guys here anticipating the arrival of another Duke player in Cooper Flag. Does that Duke brotherhood connection bring Cooper Flag to either New Orleans or Philadelphia? We'll see. The Brooklyn Nets have Jordy Fernandez. Toronto has Masai Ujiri. This came out after I tweeted this today. San Antonio has their brand new head coach who also served as interim this past season, Mitch Johnson. Rockets bringing out franchise icon Hakeem Olajuwon. Then you have the Blazers with Toumani Camara as their representative. The Mavericks trying to get back in the good graces of their fan base, having Rolando Blackman, a franchise legend in his own right for Dallas. Chicago has Matas Buzelis, first-round pick last year. And then the Sacramento Kings do have Keon Ellis, again, another one that got reported after I had tweeted this a few hours ago today. So I hope you guys are enjoying the stream up to this point. Make sure to smash that like button if you are. And here are some of the possible outcomes tonight that I think would have the league very terrified. The Rockets get pick 1. Spurs getting pick 1 would be quite terrifying as well. The Nets getting pick 1 because they do have access to cap space. They have a bunch of future draft capital as well after the Mikal Bridges, Kevin Durant trades. Obviously, it set Brooklyn up in a pretty good way with draft pick control of various teams moving forward, including 4 first-round picks this year. The Thunder, if they get pick 7, obviously OKC is just a tier above a lot of other teams in the league right now. They are in the midst of a very, very difficult playoff battle with Denver. Those two teams are very different stylistically. And I do think Jokic asserts a lot of concerns for how OKC as a team has to guard him to limit him, which has opened up a lot of opportunities for his teammates, even though he has individually struggled a bit. I think that's a real testament to how OKC is trying to guard him. And then Portland, if they get the first pick, again, I talked about that defensive front court. Oh my goodness. And then the everyone thinks it's rigged category, my Dallas Mavericks, because I would be absolutely shocked if they get the first pick. Brandon, thank you so much for the 2. Appreciate you. Says Jazz fans have been waiting since the first tip, talking about the beginning of the season. Yes, Utah has been anticipating this day all season long. So Brandon, really do appreciate you a ton. Thank you so much for the 2. Obviously, the super chats go a long way in supporting the channel here and allowing me to do what I do in terms of taking days off for work, doing all the stuff I need to do in order to bring the best content to you guys, and obviously the daily uploads and everything that goes into it. Jake here wants to know, chances my Bulls get Malawach, Colin Murray Boyles, or Queen. I will have a mock draft tonight. Now, we'll see what happens with Chicago if they move up in the lottery tonight or not, but I do think that their odds of getting one of those 3 players is quite high. I'm not going to spoil it, but in fact, I do have one of these 3 players tentatively planned to be mocked to Chicago tonight if they stick around where their pick ultimately is. Of course, things can change. We might have a shakeup, but I'm not going to spoil who's where yet in that mock draft. I have loosely planned with a bit of room for changes in case something crazy happens tonight. Silver here says, I desperately need these rigged allegations to be true. I need some source of hope for my Mavs after having Luka taken away from us for no reason. SP says, how would you feel if the Spurs end up with number 1 and number 2 picks? This would be insane. If this happens, oh my gosh. If they get 1 and 2, they are going to be absolutely incredible. If we go over to my big board version 1.0, which I posted this past week. You will note that I have Cooper Flegg head and shoulders as the best player in this draft. And then I have Dylan Harper, another guy who I do think has some Hall of Fame potential, some true All-NBA potential to reach, and very confidently will at very minimum be a high-quality starter in the NBA and a very probable all-star in the league. So if the Spurs got both Flegg and Dylan Harper, who I would project them to take those two guys in that order, Flegg, then Harper, 1 and 2, oh my goodness, what a crazy turn of events that would be. San Antonio has these two guys to put next to Fox and Wemby and Vassell and the rest of that young core that they already have there in San Antonio. What a crazy, crazy situation that would be. Hope you guys are all enjoying. Box says, which team deserves Cooper Flegg the most? That is a great question. So I'm not really a big believer in the deserves the most because the way I look at it, like Washington, you might say, well, they're tanking. Is that ethical? Do they deserve it? I mean, I would say it's smart. They put themselves in a position to have the best possible odds they can have to get Cooper Flegg, and same with Utah, and same with Charlotte in a few ways, right? Like these teams have positioned themselves better to land Cooper Flegg, whereas you could look at it on the flip side and say Houston was really smart. They went out and got Phoenix's pick. Now they deserve it because they took calculated risks and are trying to win. How would the NBA reward that, right? So there's kind of that flip side of the coin of, hey, the teams that are smart to position themselves to lose to get the pick is sensible, whereas you could also look at other teams like Toronto, who is actively trying to win, still isn't good enough. Do they deserve it for building a team that's not great enough to win and make the playoffs? I don't know. It's kind of a tricky topic for me because you can look at it both ways in my perspective. One team that I definitely don't think deserves it is my Dallas Mavericks. I don't think that you should get rewarded for trading away Luka Doncic, but that's my perspective on it. Yeah, you could argue Giannis is the best player too. Mr. Ray here says, press that like button as you roll in, folks, and shout out to you, Sheldon, brother. Appreciate you, Mr. Ray. Mr. Ray's been watching the channel for a long time. Always appreciate the support a ton. Mr. Ray is an absolute beast. So let's show some love in there. Let's get some W's in the chat. I'm going to throw in the first balloons of the stream as well here for Mr. Ray. Let's get some W's in the chat for Mr. Ray. Always appreciate you, my man. Volcano says, who do you think gets the number 1 pick? And this is where I'm going to share my prediction. Number 1, I think, will be the Washington Wizards. Second, I do believe the Brooklyn Nets will move up and deliver the Rutgers point guard Dylan Harper to Brooklyn. What a feel-good story that would be, going from Rutgers to Brooklyn. And then Philadelphia at 3. I just have a feeling, right, that they're going to stick into that top 6 and then ultimately get the 3rd pick here. And then Charlotte, I do have as the team landing 4th. Obviously, this is all vibes. This is not meant to, make anyone upset. Oh, he didn't pick my team. Like, this is all just guesstimation here, right? Like, this is vibes. In 2023, I did predict correctly that San Antonio would get the 1st pick. But, again, it's vibes and luck, and it's all just looking at odds, too. So, at the end of the day, like, ultimately, I don't know. That's what makes this whole day fun. Michael here says, I think Pels stay at 4. Michael, thank you so much for the 2. Really do appreciate you. Let's get some W's in the chat for Michael. I'm going to throw in some balloons in here for you as well, Michael. Thank you so much for the 2. Pelicans staying at 4 would be quite good for them. And then Callum, thank you for the 5, says, hope you're all good. Praying for the Rockets in the top 5. So we will see. A reminder, too, as well, Callum, and for everyone else watching, that the lottery is just the top 4 picks. So if you're looking at a team like Brooklyn, there's a 0% chance they have pick number 5 because of how the lottery works. They have the 6th worst record in the league. The top 4 picks are decided by lottery, and then 5 through 30 are reverse order of standings. So keep that in mind that Houston, for them, if they're going to move up, they have a decent likelihood to move up into the top 4. Otherwise, they will be at either pick 9 or later. The most likely is pick 9. Pick 10 is a real possibility as well, obviously, but we'll see what happens on the actual lottery, which is just a few hours away, 2 hours and 40 minutes away from one of the most important days of the entire season. This is a day that can change the course of NBA history, change the course of franchises as we know them. So very crazy. Mr. Ray says, I'm rooting for Portland to capture the flag tonight. Shout out to Blazers fans. Yeah, let me know down in the comment section below. Let's manifest some good luck. Manifesting the number 1 pick for, tell me in the comment section who you're manifesting the 1st overall pick for down there. Avery says, I just have a feel that Flegg is going to be a Bull. Very interesting. Very interesting. We'll see where he ultimately does go. The Bulls representative tonight is, of course, remember, Matas Buzelis, their first-round pick from a year ago. Had a pretty good rookie season, all things considered. We will see what happens. One guy I do like a lot, Derek Queen. We'll talk about some prospects throughout the course of today's live stream. Obviously, I hope you guys are all enjoying. But wow, we will see what happens. Arno says, seems nobody imagined Flake joining the Hornets or the Pelicans. Now, here's the thing. My fiance, she's not the biggest basketball head, but she listens to me talk about it. She knows what's going on a bit, and she predicted the Hornets to get the first overall pick tonight. She thinks that Cooper Flagg will be staying in North Carolina, will be staying with the Charlotte Hornets. We'll see what happens, but wow, that would be crazy, would it not, if he does stay in the Southeast there in North Carolina. Magnus says, hi, when and where do you think Yakichonis is going to be selected? I do like Kasparis Yakichonis quite a bit. I do think he will be a fringe top 10 pick. Anywhere from about pick 7 to pick 10 is likely where I would think he will go. If he fell to 11 at Dallas, it wouldn't be the most shocking thing, but that's kind of where I have his range right now. Scoob says, just like the trade season, Utility Sports is back. Always great content, sir. Salute. Appreciate you, Scoob, a real legend here for always watching the channel. Always appreciate you guys stopping in. Jamal says, my draft prediction is that the Wizards will draft one of the Frenchies with the 18th pick, might even potentially trade up if Noah Asengwe is going early. Jamal, appreciate you. I definitely could see someone like Nolan Traore for them. There are quite a few French prospects once again this year, obviously. Basketball Cradio here says, Adam Silver got to re-roll the lottery if Spurs go 1-2. It would be, again, insane. It would be insane. SC says, Queen All-NBA reminds me of Jahlil Okafor with better shooting mechanics. I do have some shades of players for Derek Queen. That will be something I talk about in probably a tweet at some point. I'm going to send the link to the Twitter, so that's coming into the chat right now. Go follow over on Twitter. Again, link is in the description, and I just sent it in to the actual chat. But we are growing in followers, almost 4,300. So we're trying to grow that following. If you guys aren't following on Twitter over there right now, go ahead and go do that. It shows a lot of love. Obviously, I post quite a bit on there. A lot of my thoughts, a lot of my analysis, just some fun stuff. So, talk about certain things. It's kind of more off the cuff than my normal videos, not quite as analytical based as the videos always are, but always quite a bit of fun. Norin says tanking isn't terrible until it becomes the process, such as when the 76ers did it for years. I do agree with that, Norin. I've got some sweet nectar here from Mountain Dew fueling me today. Not sponsored, by the way. I feel like I always have to say that just to make sure no one thinks I'm sponsored. MJ here throwing in the W's. Sir Moore, thank you. Amadou, thanks for throwing in the W's. Troy Dilworth threw in the meep. That's a throwback. Appreciate you, Troy Dilworth. Let's all get some meep in the chat. Thank you, Troy, for throwing that in there today. Curie says, W. Emil wants to know about possibilities of draft day trades. That's something you're going to have to stay tuned for on the channel. We will have videos coming out on the channel covering possible draft day trades. I think the lottery is always a great indicator of that. A few years ago when Portland jumped up to pick number 3 specifically, we talked about Damian Lillard trades and pick 3 trades and the possibility to do either one of those two things. Obviously, they chose to pick Scoot Henderson, trade Damian Lillard. That decision ultimately has kind of redefined and reconstructed the Blazers roster, including bringing in Toumani Camara, who is a fan favorite now over there in Portland. Breezy says, Jazz getting Cooper 100%. I feel it. Umat says, greetings from Turkey. Hope Rockets get the number 1 pick. Need another superstar besides Şengün. What a great first round of the playoffs for Şengün, by the way. He just dominated against Golden State. Obviously, they didn't win in the first round. Very disappointing end to the Rockets season as a whole. But Şengün really proved everything that I've been saying for years about him. If you go back to even my draft evaluation on him, and specifically I'd have a lot of conversations off camera with my best friend Austin, and I talked to him, Austin, and that was the draft with Cade Cunningham, remember? And I told Austin specifically, and he would attest to this, that I told him pre-draft, if there's a player who ends up being better than Cade Cunningham in this draft, who Cade was my number 1 prospect in the class, I told him the only guy I could really see being better then Cade in the draft class was Alperen Şengün, because I was a real believer in his skill set, the back to the basket game, passing, feel, IQ. And I do think if his touch kind of returns back to normal next season, you're looking at a guy who could very well return all NBA potential this upcoming season. So he's an absolute beast over there in Houston. Jacob says, Mavs, I love seeing you guys hyping up who you want to see get the first pick. J Peach says Blazers. Jacob says Mavs. Vanilla says Rip City. Farzi says the Wizards. Mark says the Pacers. You guys are too busy winning playoff series over there. Up 3-1 against Cleveland. Man, Indiana, what a fun team to watch, huh? Luvox says Raptors. B-Ball Mute Man says Kings. Appreciate you, Mute Man. Norin says Rockets. Blazers getting flagged tonight, says Kendrick Lamar. Amadou says, Mike, I still like Vassell, though. Keldon needs to go. Interesting questions going on for San Antonio, obviously. A lot of Spurs fans in here rooting for which teams they're going to have jump in the lottery. Callum says Rockets getting Dylan would be crazy for us. I would like Dylan Harper a lot. 400 people watching live, by the way. Make sure you guys do hit that subscribe button. Let's see that number grow in the subscriber count right now. You guys have been absolutely awesome. We're trying to hit 33,000 subscribers tonight. I do have it in subscriber only mode for the chat now. If you're a brand new viewer, you only have to be subscribed for a minute. So hit that subscribe button so you can chat with us, have your comments put up on screen and everything that we're doing here for fun. Really do appreciate you guys. Let's see if we got any new follows over there. We do. Colton, thank you for the follow, as well as A's. Ol, thank you for the follow. Kaz, appreciate you a ton. Jalen, thank you for the follow. And Kai, appreciate all of you guys a ton. We will see what happens tonight. Obviously, a lot of crazy stuff, but make sure to go follow over on Twitter. I'll probably be flashing the profiles up on the screen whenever applicable. So make sure to go hit that follow button. Let's look at the lottery one more time. Let's talk through the odds here. Before we go into an actual simulation, we're going to hit our first simulation tonight. Leonardo saying my fiance is right. I'm hoping she is. She's an absolute legend. So she's an absolute legend. Appreciate you guys all so much. Just a reminder here on the odds, Utah, Washington, and Charlotte all have the best odds technically, while Utah single-handedly has the best possible range of outcomes because the lowest they can possibly pick is pick number 5. Washington, lowest they can pick is 6th, and Charlotte can pick as low as 7 if doomsday ultimately happens, which would be 4 teams below them jumping up into the top 4 in the lottery. New Orleans at number 4, they have a wide range of outcomes, of course. Then Philadelphia, another wide range of outcomes here. 9 different spots they can technically pick in, and 3 of them would end up conveying their pick over to Oklahoma City. So doomsday event for Philadelphia would be having such a bad season, not even really netting anything from it in terms of draft capital this year, where Oklahoma City, I mean, could you imagine how the league would feel if OKC gets the 7th pick? That would be quite scary. Brooklyn at number 6, obviously a team that I have just kind of a gut feeling they'll move up in the lottery this year. I'm not sure why. I just have that kind of gut feeling that they'll end up striking this 2nd pick overall. We'll see. Toronto has quite good odds, though, so if you're watching from Toronto, if you're watching from Canada, or just flat out a Raptors fan, best of luck to you tonight. Hoping for the best for any of these teams, right? I don't really have a stake in the game. I am a Dallas Mavericks fan, but again, like I said earlier, I don't think the Mavericks really deserve to move up, and they don't have a very great shot at it either, just a 1.8% chance. Portland, a legitimate shot here. 10th best odds, though. Not the most likely, but legitimate. And then Houston, again, another doomsday scenario here. Either Houston or San Antonio getting a top 4 pick in this draft would be quite scary for teams. Obviously, the Spurs are loading up. Went on and got De'Aaron Fox at the trade deadline. I think a full offseason and Wemby coming back healthy would shift the direction of this franchise, who's had 2 consecutive Rookies of the Year now in a row. If they move up for Flagg or Harper, it sets them up for another very talented young player, or maybe a trade as well, which would be fascinating. And then when it comes to Houston, they might just be a Cooper Flagg away from being a true contending team. I do think that they need a superstar caliber player around Alperen Şengün yet. While I do love their collection of depth, and if you're a Rockets fan who's been watching the channel, you know how highly I've spoken of this organization. It missed their rebuild the last 2-3 years and how they've been handling everything, their draft selections. I've been very, very positive around this organization. And I do think as long as they make calculated decisions, whether it's a very wise trade for a star player like Devin Booker, despite reports today, or Giannis Antetokounmpo, I do think Houston can really escalate their team and ascend to a true contender level after a first-round loss this year. So a lot on the line for sure. Luvok here says need either Derek Queen or Common Maluach to Toronto. I think either of them would help a lot. Ben wants to know if I will show the lottery live. I will have the volume for the lottery. I can't technically show the actual broadcast, but you will be set up in a way that you can hear everything you need to hear. So you'll be getting all of the information when it is available, okay? Brandon here says, let's go Jazz Nation. We need 2 players. We need to solidify a player we can build around Flagg or Harper. Arno here says, Victor, what's wrong with Bailey? For Ace Bailey, I mean, there's a lot of problems, to be honest, but there's some value there for sure. Curie says, do you think the Hornets will have to make some moves if they add Flagg to the roster? I feel like that team would be super young. I mean, yeah, the Hornets have a lot of work to do. Nav, thank you for the 20. Shout out to Nav. Let's get some balloons in there for Nav. We're also going to try and shoot in some lasers if we can here too. Oh, we got confetti going and lasers. We're going to get it all in here. Thank you, Nav, so much for the 20. Let's get some W's in the chat for Nav. Says, hey, bro, hope you plan on doing a Magic offseason preview soon. I think Nets getting Flagg is best case scenario for the league unless they target Giannis. Then it would be the Wizards. God bless. Appreciate you, Nav. A ton. Always really do love the support that you've shown. Nav's been watching the channel for a while, so always hugely appreciative of you. Of course, the super chats go a long way in supporting the channel and what I do here. Thank you so much, Nav, for your continued support over the years. And each and every stream, I feel like you're just in here hanging out, having a great time, chatting some hoops. So Nav, thank you again. Magic offseason preview will be a priority for me. I will definitely try to get around to that in the next week or two, as long as everything works out. I do have a little bit of travel. I'm heading back home to Minnesota for about a week in the early June segment of the month. So I will be definitely pre-recording stuff for that week as well. So Orlando definitely going to be on my list of teams to get done. So appreciate you again. Nets getting Flagg would be crazy. And so would Washington. I think Washington's an awesome situation. Brady Thompson says, back for another draft. Appreciate you, Brady. Another member who's been watching the channel for a long time. Corey says, Eric, when it comes to the NBA Combine, it actually didn't start Sunday. The dates posted on the NBA website were a little incorrect. What was ultimately starting were Combine invited players were having private draft workouts, essentially. So it's a little misleading what the NBA website was saying. Texas Sports, shout out to one of our moderators. Not only on the channel, he's a mod, as you can tell by that little wrench, but he's also a Discord moderator. Make sure to go join the Discord. Link is in the description if you feel like you're having fun today, being a part of basketball discussion, having a community around you who really loves hoops and loves talking about the NBA draft, everything you need to know. The Discord's a great place. Okay, I'm in there talking at times, but we also have a litany of really great members in there, including, again, our moderators, Texas Sports being the OG moderator of the group. Really appreciate everyone who is a part of that. So again, links in the description. I'm in the Discord. You can have direct access to asking me questions. I try my best to stay as present in there as I can. Obviously, I'm very busy with a lot of different stuff in my life when it comes to content creation, hours and hours and hours of film study, that kind of stuff. But shout out to Texas Sports again. Make sure you guys go join that Discord link. He's always working really hard to support the channel here and also support the community that we've built. Xavier says, Spurs fan here, we won't get Flagg, rather have Utah get him instead of some teams like Charlotte, Philly, or Washington. We'll see what happens. Utah obviously has never had the first overall pick. Could tonight be their night? Young Lightskin says Şengün is Draymond's worst nightmare. Had a great playoff series against him. Praying and manifesting VJ Edgecombe to the Mavericks. Very interesting. Neymar here says, I think Knicks will draft a French player or a Villanova player. We will see what happens with New York. Obviously, they don't have a first-round pick this year, but they could definitely make some moves to set themselves up and to get into position. Giannis definitely going to the Spurs to play with his favorite person, CP3. Throwback to the Suns-Bucks finals there. Coach, sometimes some of these comments are like really funny. Adrian here says the Blazers are going to move into the top 4, trying to manifest that, obviously. Let's go over to a lottery simulation. Again, we are just 2 hours and 25 minutes away. We're going to do a lottery simulation every half hour or so and just talk through the possibilities. Let's hit it here. 3, 2, 1. And look at that. A very unique top 4. Charlotte jumps up to pick number 1 here. And this is one of those situations my fiance would be grinning ear to ear with her prediction being right. Charlotte getting the first overall pick in this simulation, delivering Cooper Flake to a franchise who really badly needs him, in my opinion. Then New Orleans at number 2. I do think Dylan Harper would be a tremendous fit here for a team that obviously had some really bad injury luck over the past couple of years, most specifically recently with DeJounte Murray after acquiring him from Atlanta. Dylan Harper would become the franchise league guard of the future. Washington down at pick number 3 puts them in an interesting spot. Do they go with someone who has a lot of perceived upside in Ace Bailey, or do they take someone who could contribute to their defensive-minded approach, where they're building a very unique defensive-minded team? Could VJ Edgecombe and his physically elite tools stand out there in Washington? And then San Antonio at number 4. This becomes a prime trade opportunity for them moving up in the lottery. This would position them well to maybe try and make a push at a Giannis Antetokounmpo if they so desire to do so. Utah falls all the way down to 5. Very unfortunate for them. Philly keeps their pick at number 6. Brooklyn down to 7. And Toronto down to 8. What a shakeup this would be, obviously, with the Spurs jumping up, bumping a few teams down along the way. Charlotte getting that first pick, though. Hornets fans, you got to love that. Definitely would be a crazy, crazy thing. Jared says, let me go over to Gavoni. Are those coming in now? Okay, yeah, wow. We have official measurements coming in, which is pretty unique. I didn't think this was happening tonight. I thought this was happening tomorrow, to be honest. So, Igor Demon measures in at 6'8" and a quarter barefoot. Colin Murray Boyle 6'6" and a half barefoot. Derek Queen 6'9" and a quarter barefoot. Very, very unique. Casper Siakachonis 6'4" and 3/4 barefoot. Interesting. Okay. Con Knipple measures in about where I would have expected him to, 6'5" barefoot. Maluach nearly 7'1" barefoot. This is a really, really strong measurement from Common Maluach. Trey Johnson, about what you would expect barefoot. Obviously, when they have shoes on, he's been measuring about 6'6", so 1.25 inches from shoes is not shocking. Fears at 6'2.5" barefoot. Yeah, not really the most shocking. VJ Edgecombe 6'4". Ace Bailey measures in quite a bit smaller than what you would have expected. He was listed at 6'10". And I mean, if you've watched Rutgers, you knew he wasn't 6'10", but that's what he measured in at. Dylan Harper measures in 6'4.5". Obviously, pretty good weight, and obviously an elite wingspan there with a plus 6-inch wingspan. Cooper Flake measures in nearly 6'8" barefoot. Definitely quite a strong situation. Nearly an 8'11" standing reach as well for Cooper Flake. Yeah, thank you for Jer for sharing this. I did not see that Gavoni was posting this. Future years, I do plan on being at the Combine. I thought this was happening tomorrow, though, which is what kind of surprises me that it happened tonight. Jace Richardson measured in very small, sub 6'1", but obviously still very skilled. So Will Riley, very, very impressive measurement here from him, 6'8.25". You look at Danny Wolf, 6'10.5" barefoot. Carter Bryant, about what you would have expected, right? 6'8" with shoes on, roughly. Liam McNeely measures in about 6'7", 6'8" in shoes. It's about what what you'd expect. Asa Newell, a little bit smaller than expected, I would say, at 6'9" barefoot. I would have thought he maybe been 6'9.5", 6'10". I know it doesn't sound like a big difference, but it is a meaningful one. Make sure you guys do hit that like button, by the way. But we've got a whole host of stuff coming in, and this is a little bit of insight. I usually don't show this off, but here is some of my draft stat trackers here. I do have to obviously go in, and I've been waiting for the official height, weight, and everything. But here is some of the data I look at throughout the course of the year. I do obviously have blank spots for a lot of the international prospects yet because most of their seasons are not over yet at this point. Some of them are. I have to do a little bit more work to catch up on, but we'll be updating this and then probably using it in videos. I felt like this year I wanted to showcase some more. But appreciate you, B, for the follow, as well as Coils. Appreciate you for following over on the Twitter as well. Again, a lot of crazy stuff. We'll go back over to Gavoni quick, too, who always does such good work over there on Twitter. So very impressive stuff. Great reporting from him, sharing the official measurements as well. Again, I will be updating my actual list. Yeah, Yegor's, I mean, that's always been his biggest selling point is he's tall, lengthy, and really positionally sized well. Wupo says, I deserve for the Mavericks to move up. VJ was not, VJ is about 6'6" with shoes. Let me go back down to VJ. Yeah, 6'4" barefoot, so about 6'5.5" with shoes probably. Darius wants to know why I stopped posting the 2K series. Honestly, I had some family stuff go on. My grandma passed away. I had a lot of stuff kind of play out that limited that. So, it's something that next year I am planning on having like a full-blown series that spans 30, 40 episodes. This year I ran into some issues and some problems that prevented that. Appreciate you guys all. Love seeing the W's in here for Nav. How many hours until the draft lottery? The draft lottery is just 2 hours and 19 minutes away. Remember, here was our first simulation. A lot of fun stuff going on. What moves do I think the Hornets will make? Well, it depends on where they land tonight. Tonight is kind of that pivot point for all these teams because we get an idea. Okay, they have this pick. They have this asset. What could they do now? So we'll see. Emerald King says, what range do you think Walter Clayton Jr. will fall? Possible Magic range. I definitely think he should be available for Orlando. Good Hair says, Coop is taller than Ace. Who would have thought? I mean, I kind of have thought that. Ace looks tall because he's skinny. Like, Cooper Flagg's also pretty slim, but he's built a bit more. Dylan Harper, it was very clear, or not Dylan Harper, excuse me. Ace Bailey is very clearly not 6'10" like he was listed at Rutgers. It was like very, very clear. Nezzy says, yo, another year, another lottery. Very excited. Appreciate you, Nezzy, for being in here again this year. Damo says, I would be fine with every team getting flagged besides Trust the Process Sixers and defense wins championship Mavericks. Totally understand that. Totally understand that. Kuba says, any players you like in particular for the Rockets at 9 or 10? I love Derek Queen. I really like Derek Queen a lot. I like Kamen Maluach. I mean, at 9 or 10, you're going to get a good player as long as you don't completely screw up the pick. Like, I wouldn't take Fears. I like Yakichonis. I think there's quite a few players. I mean, Fears for Houston does make some sense if they're looking for an on-ball guy, though. So I can't, fully hate on it. But Jace Richardson definitely measured in a bit smaller for sure. We'll see what happened. 8'11" wingspan for Ace is crazy. Let's go back over to more of Gavoni's measurements here. Let's go back to Gavoni and update and refresh here. Nick Clifford, measures in a bit smaller than this is about what I anticipated. I think people have envisioned him a little bit bigger than he is, just because he rebounds the ball really well. His standing reach is rather small, not really a hugely plus wingspan. This is about what I was projecting for Nick Clifford. Thomas Sorber, again, another guy. Last night I compared him to Derek Queen and talked about how they're very interesting counterpoints to each other because they have about the same physical measurables. Both a bit smaller, but Queen does more on the perimeter defensively, and I think it's just a flat out a lot more skilled player offensively too. So not really shocking that Sorber comes in very similarly measured to what we talked about with Derek Queen a little bit before that. So, Queen, again, this is a big deal here. Jace Richardson measures in quite a bit smaller. Yegor Demon, 6'8.25". This is pretty interesting stuff to see. Obviously, a lot of interesting measurements coming in. CMB about what we would have expected. Kind of had him listed around 6'7" all year, so maybe even a little bit bigger with shoes on, about 6'7.5", 6'8" maybe. Derek Queen, again, very, very comparable numbers to Thomas Sorber, who I compared him to. So, and I think he's a way better skill prospect than Thomas Sorber. So, and I think if he gets into better shape physically here, if he works on his body just a little bit more, he can get it even quicker, which is going to be scary. But I do like his ability to bump and play with his body. So, basically a flat wingspan here for Con Knipple, just an 1.5 inch bigger wingspan. This is one of the ones that, again, this isn't shocking. If you watch Kamen Maluach, you kind of knew he was going to be this big, but seeing a near 7'7" wingspan is impressive. So Trey Johnson measures in with a very good wingspan, 6'10" and a half, so a plus 6-inch wingspan basically. Jeremiah Fears, plus 3-inch wingspan almost. I mean, pretty small. Again, this is one of the concerns I have with Jeremiah Fears, who basically never plays off the ball. This is like your hope is he becomes like Kemba Walker. Sort of. He's a little bit bigger than Kemba. But VJ Edgecombe here, 6'4". Ace Bailey, yeah, the 7'1.5" wingspan. It's not 8'11" wingspan. Yeah, I misread that when I clicked that comment. Thor here says New Orleans is my team, but if they don't get Cooper, I would love to see Mavs fans see justice served for that number 1 overall pick. Tag, thank you for the 10. Says, hey, my guy, you down to do a mock draft video with me? My flag prediction, Portland. Also, Giannis is watching the lottery tonight. Would you trade flag number 1 for him? I would not trade Cooper Flag for him. I would. I value the 9 years of Cooper Flag over the next 3 years of Giannis Antetokounmpo. I would not trade Flag. I would not trade the number 1 overall pick for him. I understand people who would. I just disagree, though. I would not. And Tag Live, yeah, definitely hit me up. Message me on over on Twitter. DMs are open, so send me a message over there, and we'll talk it and see if we can get something to work out. David here says, with the Nets having just 3 guaranteed contracts going into next year, what do you think are the chances they blow the entire roster up, don't re-sign anyone, and start from scratch? Probably not the most likely, just given the fact that they are positioned with cap space where they could keep some pieces. They could keep Cam Thomas, for example, if they get him to a team-friendly deal. Like, definitely some options for them. I want to get back over to Cooper Flag. Where is Flag's measurements? Here we are. 6'7" and 3/4 barefoot, 220 pounds, 7-foot wingspan, 8'10" and a half standing reach. All great stuff. Pretty much everything I was kind of expecting for Flag, who I've kind of had loosely ranked between like 6'9" and 6'8" and a half-ish. So, I mean, with shoes, he's a little bit bigger even than where I had him, about 6'9" and a quarter. Milwaukee Cards says Sheldon deserves to be in a front office. We're lucky to have him here on YouTube. I appreciate you, Milwaukee Cards. Still waiting for my shot. I've got a whole bunch of stuff ready for a team that hires me. I'm working on a lot of different things. Some that I will be ultimately sharing with you guys over on YouTube here, and some that I am keeping for myself for right now, like my offense design, if I ever get into coaching at a high level again, which I'm hoping to. Chicken here says, to me, Asa in Atlanta would be cool, but we don't need small centers. Asa is very skilled as a big, and he can get on the glass, so he would fit quite well with Trae Young. But Sorber, 7'6" wingspan. Let me go up to Sorber again. Yeah, the wingspan is very, very impressive. I was more so like talking like height, weight, specifically. Measured in pretty similar in those regards, but obviously the wingspan is quite good. I don't think I would be pretty shocked if Todd Pettiford stayed in the draft, honestly. Norin Rad, time out Cedric Howard. Norin, you're gonna like my mock draft that comes out tonight, I think. Texas here says Con Knippel, if he falls, would be a steal for Houston. I do like Con Knippel a lot for the Rockets as well. Trade time with the Hawks might be winding down. We'll see what happens. Brandon says, do you have any trade-up targets you'd like for Detroit? A lot of people want to trade up to get Fleming. Also, any thoughts on Dink Pate? He wasn't on your top 30 board. I think Dink Pate's a skilled player. I'm just not sure if his shot diet and on-ball volume is going to translate well to the league. So I'm a little hesitant on him as a prospect. I do think developmentally he could be an interesting draft and stash kind of player for Detroit, kind of like what they did last year with the name just slipped my mind. Forward. You know who I'm talking. They took him in the second round. Bobby Klintman. There we go. I just could not. I couldn't think for a second. But I wouldn't mind him as like a draft, stash, develop, wait a little bit for him. But I definitely think there's some weight gain here for Sorber because of the injury. Like he just hasn't played for a few months. Goofy here says, hey, who do you think are possible 30th overall picks? Saw some people projecting Clayton at around 30, but it's kind of unlikely. Clayton might be off the board by 30. I do have a mock draft plan to come out tonight after the lottery, so stay tuned for that. Derek Queen's really good. David says, Sheldon the GOAT. Appreciate you, David. Thanks a lot. Let's get some W's in the chat for Tag Live again, by the way. W Tag Live. Appreciate you a lot. We'll see where Flay goes. He is predicting Portland tonight. Love seeing those W's come in. Mr. Ray says, agreed, the next 9 to 10 years of Cooper will be more important to a franchise than 3 years of Giannis. Leonardo wants to know, besides Cooper, who's the best prospect to me? On my big board, second right now is Dylan Harper. I feel pretty confident in that, although there is a player I have right next to him. And it's not because I'm low on Dylan. It's because I like the guy I have third a lot as well. So keep that in mind, right? Like not every time on my board, like I try and showcase how close certain guys are. Clayton measures in 6'2" barefoot, just a +2 wingspan. Rasheer Fleming. Oh, here we go. Cedric Coward, about what I was expecting again here, 6'5". Very big wingspan for Coward. Probably an inch or two bigger than I was expecting at the bare minimum. That's a +9 wingspan. Definitely crazy. +9 inch wingspan. Very, very strong. Adu Thiero measures in quite well. Yeah. This is another player I like a lot in this draft. Adu Thiero, I think, is going to be a steal for whoever gets him. Adu Thiero measures in quite well. I really do like that a lot for Thiero. About what I was expecting. Kind of envisioned him being a hair below 6'8" with shoes on. So physically, like obviously strong, 218 pounds is a strong 218 pounds. Rasheer Fleming measures in really well here. Look at the wingspan. 7'5" wingspan for Fleming. Elite size for a 3 ND forward. Definitely very interesting prospect here. That one that will very likely have lottery buzz. We'll see what happens. But Cedric Howard has a very, very strong outcome here with the way the thing worked out. Wabu Dude, thank you for the 10. Says, with Giannis seemingly looking to leave Milwaukee, do you think a team like the Spurs would actually give up a ton of picks and young talent to get him? Wabu, first of all, thank you for the 10. Let's get some W's and in the chat. I'm going to throw in some confetti here for Wabu. Let's get some hype in the chat for him. I definitely do think San Antonio will consider it. It'll depend on where their 2 picks in the lottery here fall tonight. We'll see where they end up. And then Wabu here, thank you for the 5, says it feels very un-Spurs-like, but then again, they did trade for Fox. Definitely a new era in San Antonio. Yeah, I think they're in a state of cautious aggression. They're looking to make trades that make sense for them long-term, while still trying to maximize the early stages of the window they have with Victor Wembanyama here. So Wabu, thank you for the 15 total. Really do appreciate you. And I do think the Spurs, if a trade makes sense for them, depending on their draft positioning tonight, they will pursue it. Who's the most NBA ready, Con, Harper, or Trey Johnson? I definitely think it's Dylan Harper, but he's also scaling into the harder role. Like, Con's going to find some early success in the role that he'll play because he'll be exclusively off the ball. Trey Johnson will spend some time on the ball, which will just flat out make it harder. The more time you play on the ball in the NBA, the harder your job is. There's more reliance on creation and being just flat out elite or great. So I think like Khan's going to have the easiest job right away and will find success in that job, whereas Dylan Harper is going to have the hardest job, but will also find success. I do think Dylan Harper is just flat out the best player here presently. So I do think he's quote unquote the most NBA ready, but at the same time, his role is going to be so much more difficult than Khan that it might not always appear that way, if that makes sense. Rachel here says Sorber's measurement's going to have him moving up. I mean, we'll see. Like, there's a few ways teams can look at it. They're also going to look at it and say, oh, he's 6'9¼ only, as a pretty much exclusive drop big. So, like, for me, I I don't know. I have my own concerns about that, just because I do think there's some limitations there. Maxime Reynaud measures in very, very well here. 7 foot, barefoot, and he's athletic, moves really well. Even though he's got a small wingspan here, just an inch plus wingspan, still has a very respectable standing reach at 9'2", which honestly, for like a big man, I care a little bit more about standing reach than I do about wingspan. Like wingspan is important, but like this is your shot blocking right here. Like obviously longer arms help, but it like ultimately if you have super long arms but you're a few inches shorter, it really comes down to how high you can reach still. So standing reach is, I still think, an extremely valuable tool. But again, if you look at someone like Cedric Howard, who's a guard wing prospect, like his 8'10" standing reach is very, very strong. Very impressive. And this is where you see Rasheer Fleming, you're like, oh my gosh, like 9.5 foot standing reach is crazy. So very impressive stuff. 9'1" standing reach here from Sorber. And if we go back down to Derek Queen, you're going to see this one I'm talking about too. Derek Queen, standing reach. This is the thing. People are going to blow Sorber's wingspan out of the water, but he actually has a smaller standing reach, despite being the same height. And a lot of that has to do with shoulder position. Like there's a lot of shoulder size. Like there's little things that cause that, right? So Curry wants to know if I had Pettiford on my big board. No, I did not have him in my top 30 big board at this point of the process. Now, by the end of the cycle, when we actually know who's for sure staying in and out of the draft, I'll post a top 60 big board. That'll be a little bit more. It'll have more depth in the analysis, right? So like there'll be more prospects to talk about. And if Pettiford stays in the draft, he will be in the top 60. But Bill Clinton says, what up, Sheldon? Do you think the Spurs will end up moving one of their picks? Very, very probable. I do think ultimately San Antonio, I just would be shocked if they do take 2 guys in the lottery. Now, it depends on where their picks end up. If they get the first pick and then still have another pick in the lottery, maybe they would. But we'll see. Eric says, please hit up the Hornets to join their coaching staff. I mean, I'm trying. We'll see where I end up. I do have a little bit of a connection that I'm hoping to use with Charlotte at some point to maybe find a way in there, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Cable wants to know if John I goes number 28 to the Celtics would get him. He's basically Al Horford. He doesn't shoot the ball as well as Al Horford has, but obviously that was a later career development for Al, so we'll see what happens. Mr. Ray says Thero's like number 12 on my big board. I'm really high on him. I have him in the lottery on mine as well. I think Adu Thero's really freaking good at basketball. Bach wants to know my thoughts on AJ Debonce as a prospect. Definitely will be a top 3 pick next year with where things currently stand. I do think right now he's a little one-dimensional when it comes to his half-court scoring. I do think he's fairly rim-reliant at this point, especially if you compare him to Darren Peterson, who's I think more skilled ball handler, decision maker at this point. And then you look at someone like Cam Boozer, who I think is just a little bit bigger, stronger, more functional athleticism. AJ Debonce can jump out of the gym. So I'm not doubting his athleticism, but I think Cam Boozer plays into contact a bit better, a bit stronger. So I have 2 guys ahead of him right now, but again, we're a year plus away from that draft. So Captain Flav wants to know how I can keep track with overseas prospect. A lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of work going into watching film, finding film, just a lot of stuff. And then I've also got some partnerships that I'm working on too that actually help me with that. So Michael says, depressed Bulls fans here. Any hope we make the right decisions this offseason? I mean, maybe. I'm not a big Arturas Karnisovas guy, so we'll see. Texas Sports says, like and sub, follow on X, the everything app. Join the Discord. We're doing mock drafts. Come join. You won't regret it. Make sure you guys do go join that Discord. Link is in the description at the very top of this video description. You'll find links to everything you need. The Twitter, the Discord, my Substack as well, which I have some very talented writers. Alex Burns, for example, writing for me. Lance Heinzman, who does a lot of graphic design work. Finn, who does some awesome stuff for me. And many others too. So I write over there, of course, as well. So a lot of stuff. We have, like draft lottery guides, everything that you could really imagine and picture being over there is there. So make sure to go check that out if you want to see more stuff. Michael Ruzich here, 6'11" barefoot, 7' 3/4 standing reach, or wingspan, excuse me, 9 foot standing reach. Pretty good measurements for him, for someone who's probably going to be a true forward. Ryan Rasmussen, shout out to Ryan, says thoughts on VJ Edgecombe. I'm thinking possible Ant or Jaylen Brown potential. For me, I think the floor for VJ Edgecombe is a better, more applicable, more functionally athletic Dennis Smith Jr. I've seen people say Dwayne Wade. I've seen people. I do understand the Ant comp a little bit. There is some of that deceleration, playing the traffic, very strong physical lower body where he's able to gather well and play into physicality. I think there's a lot there for Edgecombe to work with. The one thing, though, unlike Ant, I'm just not sure if the dribble pull-up shooting is ever going to develop. Now, that was a question for me for Ant coming out of Georgia, right? Anthony Edwards had super high dribble pull-up volume at Georgia. Terrible results. He was not a good dribble pull-up shooter for the Bulldogs as a prospect. And then the Wolves drafted him first overall, really invested in his development, and he's paid that off. So Jaylen Brown, I think, is interesting. I do think Edgecombe, wherever he lands, is going to have good volume numbers right away, points, rebounds, assists, all that stuff. I'm curious what the efficiency will look like right away. Juan here says, would pairing up Lowry with Flegg make it attractive for agents to finally sign in Utah? Yes, I definitely think where there's young talent, there's players wanting to play there. Tom says, good morning, mate, and happy lottery day. Praying for top 4 for my Raptors, but thinking we get number 8. We'll see what happens. Obviously, with Toronto, they do have the 7th best odds, but predicting number 8 would mean that some team below them, San Antonio, Phoenix, Portland, Dallas, Chicago, Sacramento, or this pick that the Hawks are owing to the Spurs, would move up ahead of them. So we'll see where they go, Tom, but glad to have you in here for another stream yet again. Appreciate you guys all a ton. Mike says standing reach is affected by shoulder shape. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Mike, exactly like I was talking about. Like, just like that's one of the interesting things about body types, right? Like certain guys can have crazy wingspans because they have broad shoulders and long arms, right? There's a lot of things that go into that. Whereas and they might have longer necks though. So there's stuff that just plays into it that is very, very fascinating. So we'll see what happens. Let's go back over to Gavoni here. Alex Condon measures in 6'11 1/4. Again, about what you'd expect for Condon. Hair under 7 feet without shoes. Very good. This is about what you'd expect. Maybe a little bit smaller of a standing reach. But one thing is he's very coordinated. So again, while standing reach I do think is a very important thing for bigs in general, it's not the end-all be-all for any player. This is one of the most important things. I'm glad we're live actually while this is coming out. This is the thing you need to remember. None of this really changes anything about prospects. It does for people, but it shouldn't. These guys are going to be who they are. We've seen the film, the skills, the tools, everything stands out on tape. Vlad Golden measures in really, really well. 7 foot barefoot. This is like a true 7-footer with an elite wingspan, elite standing reach at 9'3". Very, very good measurements. Drake Powell measures in about where I'd expect. If you want to sell yourself on Drake Powell, you go watch UNC versus Duke again this year, and you watch every single rep that Drake Powell guarded Cooper Flegg on the perimeter. He is someone who projects to have some real defensive upside on the ball. Gets low, moves his feet really well, very good center of balance, good functional play strength. Drake Powell is someone I could see myself getting sold on because of his defensive upside. We'll see how everything plays out, but this is one I definitely want to tweet about. Great length measurements for Drake Powell. He's definitely a player that I think will hopefully return huge value and upside as a defender. So we'll see what happens. I hope you guys are enjoying the stream so far. Obviously, a bit of a shift in what we've been covering because of the measurements coming in. But I hope you guys are still enjoying it and feeling like there's a lot of value coming in. Obviously, I will be updating my spreadsheet here too. And then we'll have some videos coming out on that probably as well. So Mike says, just intern for the Spurs and learn about wine to chat up Pop. You'll coach in no time. I actually have had conversations with Popovich myself. For those who do not know, I was covering the Minnesota Timberwolves last year, and I got to meet Popovich, had a short conversation with him, asked him a question. I was really worried, but he treated me quite well. So sometimes how he can be with media members. So I was a little worried, but let's do another lottery simulation here in 3, 2, 1. At the very top, Philadelphia, and the Rockets jump up to number 4, Wizards at 2, Hornets at 3. What an outcome this is. What an outcome. Umarai says, I am praying that heck out of the Chicago Bulls to get the number 1 pick. The lottery's in Chicago for a reason. Please, we'll see what happens. That would be crazy. Eric, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you in here. I'm trying my best to keep up on comments. Chicken here says Buzz City, VJ Edgecombe, if not Cooper. Matt Cardle says some of these players look like they were designed in Elden Ring character creator. Well, I've never played Elden Ring, but I can imagine what you mean by that. Volcano says, imagine if Charlotte gets Cooper flagged. I mean, yeah, Charlotte needs him. I think Charlotte could really use him. I'm not going to lie. Like, if there's a franchise that really needs that kind of player, it is them. Talking about Drake Powell, should have stayed in college. I mean, he's not ready offensively at all. But I do think there is a lot of defensive value for a team to buy into long term. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the thing is, like, players can still withdraw and go back to college too. So we have 560 plus people watching live right now. Make sure you guys all, again, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Then also go in the Discord. We got balloons flying in here. Go to the Discord, join the Discord, have some fun conversations in there. And then also, of course, go follow on Twitter. Oh, Scott says to reset the lottery. We'll try that. We'll reset the lottery and do another lottery simulation here. I mean, Houston still jumps up. Philadelphia still jumps up. I do think the lottery simulation is quite good. I actually have a video out on the channel, and I covered that. We are less than 2 hours away as well, as pointed out by Texas Sports here. BR here says, love your draft content. It's really helped educate me on general basketball mechanics and team building. I appreciate that, BR. Again, this is a very great point from BR, and this is one of the most important things I can say in this entire live stream. It doesn't matter how many 15-point per game guys you draft. It doesn't matter if you draft someone who's capable of scoring 23 points a game on 42% from the floor. What matters in drafting is winning. If you can build a team, that wins, is congruent, fits together, and has some real significant strengths and limited weaknesses in their overall, the way that the team is built, especially finding value on rookie contracts, it is a huge cheat code, especially with the new CBA. Drafting is about winning just as much as free agent signings and trades. Everyone judges trades based on wins. Everyone judges free agent signings based on wins. It's time we start actually grading draft picks long-term on winning. It doesn't matter if you draft a guy who scores 24 points a game if you don't surround him with other players that help him win. Now, again, not every pick, like LaMelo Ball, for example, great pick for Charlotte. Why have the Hornets not won? Because they've missed on other picks, because they've screwed up other things. And I think that understanding, that context is really important. Look at Detroit as well. Everyone last year was saying Cade Cunningham might not be a winning player. Then they put some winning pieces around him and they won. And they built their team better. They added shooting. They added some floor spacing. Malik Beasley was awesome. Tobias Harris had a good year. You need to draft to win. You need to build a team to win. And I think if you go into the drafts and you don't have that plan of how a guy fits and what a guy's going to do for you, functionally on the court, you're not going to succeed. So that's one of the most important things. Titan here says, bring some luck to the Spurs. Flag and Victor duo is a nightmare. That would definitely be the beginning of a dynasty. VO says, after lottery, when do you think you'll do a mock with trades? Probably a couple weeks. I'd like to give it at least a week. This first week will be a normal mock without trades. And then going forward, it might shift depending on what happens here and kind of where teams are at. The Mike here says, what's good, Sheldon? Hardest working basketball analyst on YouTube. I appreciate you. A lot of time, a lot of hours, and a lot of work goes into watching film, making sure that I'm prepared each time I hit that record button on my computer. Unlimited says, what is your personal favorite fit with Cooper and why is it the Washington Wizards? I do love the fit with Washington Unlimited, who is, by the way, shout out to Unlimited, a big-time Discord member here on the channel. I do love the Washington Wizards fit. I think his fit with Alex Sarr is very fun on offense and defense. Now, I do think there would be a little bit of a learning curve offensively for Flegg because he hasn't played with your traditional stretch big men too much. And obviously, Sarr, one of his greatest attributes is the ability to stretch the floor a bit long-term and ability to attack closeouts. So I think there would be a little bit of a growing pain there offensively, but I do think defensively there's a lot to work with. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, dude, Pop is awesome. Like, as long as you don't upset him some way, he's super, super cool. So it was a great opportunity for me to meet him, and I'm obviously hoping him the best of health going forward. Maxime Renault measurements quite impressive. Yeah, they were fairly respectable, I would say, all things considered. So here we go. New post from Shams. Interesting. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Giannis. We will see what happens. We'll go over to John here, who is part of Draft Express. He has not posted any, so we'll see what happens, obviously. But a lot of measurements have come in already. Again, I will be updating my spreadsheet. Here is another look at the lottery odds for those who are curious. Let me get that up on the screen in a way that you can see it. There you go. Chase here is manifesting the Mavs lottery luck. Will I simulate the draft in 2K? Quentin Grimes wants to know. Probably not in 2K tonight, but I will be simulating it here on Tankathon in another 20 minutes or so. Baked Toe says, hey, quick question. This is the first year that I'm locked into the league. Where's the official lottery streamed? Is it also paid or is it on YouTube? It's on ESPN. ESPN has the rights, but I will be covering it. So whenever it happens, like, you won't be able to see the actual ESPN stream here, but I'll tell you everything that happens and you'll hear audio. So you should be set up just fine. Sam Gallimore says, Giannis isn't leaving. I mean, it's possible he does. We'll see what happens. Darius says, my favorite projection is Malawash to the Wizards. I'm not sure. Malawash to Washington is interesting to me. I could see him being a really good fit with Bub Carrington. I could see him being a unique 4-5 combo with Sarr, but I don't know offensively if that maximizes what Washington could possibly be, which, again, I've held this position for about a year now. Going back to last year's draft, well, about a year and a half, really, going back to about halfway through last year's draft process, where I thought Alex Sarr needs to be a 5 to be an elite offensive big at some point in time. So do I see Cooper working with Zion? It'd be fun. I don't think it's necessarily the best fit, to be completely honest with you, but I don't know if it maximizes Cooper, and I don't know if it maximizes Zion, but they'd be very talented and hard to defend. So sometimes, like, when you have a lot of talent, not everything has to be maximized, right? Like, Cooper, Flag, and Zion don't have to be maximized to be great players, but obviously you do want to maximize your best player. So it's like one of those things where if he ends up in New Orleans, the Pelicans are going to be like, oh shoot, they're still going to be over the moon happy. So Hysterical here says, what would you think of Rasheer Fleming on the Hawks? I would like him there quite a bit. Definitely would help their front court defensively a bit. After trading DeAndre Hunter, they have, quote unquote, a positional need there. Positions really don't matter. Going to the draft, you don't draft based on position. You draft based off of team need, fit, scheme, like a lot more stuff than just, oh, this guy's a bigger forward, right? But it does provide some value for them in the context around Trae Young and Jalen Johnson skill set wise. Jelly Wick says Pelicans give Bucks back all 3 of their first round draft picks plus players for Giannis. I think if anything, New Orleans will be a third team in a trade where they give Milwaukee back their picks, but they get maybe picks from Houston, the Phoenix picks, or maybe they go get assets from Brooklyn, all the Knicks picks, right? There's a way that they could work with Milwaukee to facilitate a rebuild and actually get more draft capital out of the deal in a 3-team kind of trade. Big Toe says, what pick range do you see Yakuchonis going in? Is top 5 crazy? I really mess with him. I don't think he'll ultimately be a top 5 pick. I do think a team will draft Jeremiah Fears ahead of him probably. But I do think he'll go anywhere from 6 or 7 to 10. It depends on who's ultimately picking where, right? Like, if OKC ends up with a pick in here instead of Philly, it changes things. If San Antonio jumps up, it changes things. If Chicago moves up, it changes. There's so many different outcomes, right? So Capo says, how soon can we expect a draft prediction video after lottery tonight? You'll get it within an hour, probably, of the lottery tonight. So as soon as the lottery's done, I will be concluding the stream. Again, that won't be for a little while yet. The lottery is still an hour, 45 minutes away. So don't worry, it's not coming yet. But just so you guys are aware, there is going to be a stretch where as soon as the lottery's done, I'm going to have to wrap up quickly so I can go record. So keep that in mind, okay? Michael says, yeah, Pelicans own Bucks picks next 2 years. I forgot about that. Brandon here says, here's one I don't hear people talk about a ton. What team would you hate for Flag? Incompetent front office, awkward fit with another young star, lack of assets. Let's reset the lottery here and look. You know, I do think for Utah specifically, like while Utah would give him every opportunity to be the star there, and I don't think there's a situation where Cooper doesn't work out, but Utah has a bunch of questionable guards right now, and I just don't know if that's going to lead to winning right away. I love their front court. I really love their front court. I don't love their back court. So we'll see with that. Toronto, I mean, the Raptors have talent, so he'd be good, but I think the fit with Scotty Barnes is a little weird. It'd be fun defensively, don't get me wrong. They'd be like an elite defensive tandem, but the offensive congruence is a little strange for me. But again, I don't really hate Cooper Flag anywhere because Cooper Flag's that good of a player. And he can definitely play with other talent. That's not going to be a question, but it's just about, again, maximizing. Like, there are some limitations with some of these outcomes. Like, I do think, honestly, an underrated, if Sacramento got the first pick tonight, that's an underrated outcome. I don't hate Utah, Steven, by the way. You guys should know, I, first of all, want all 30 teams to succeed. I don't hate Utah. I just think Utah, in terms of their off-ball guard play, like, I don't trust Isaiah Collier. I don't think Keontae George is really that good. He's talented, but I don't know how much he's going to positively impact winning long-term. I just have a lot of questions. Like, they have guards who can't guard. So, Elbow here says, do you have a favorite sleeper we should keep an eye on? Team player, move, etc. When it comes to prospects, I love Kobe Brea. Kobe Brea is going to return first-round value, although he won't be a first-round pick. Derek Queen is a sleeper, even if he goes in the top 10. Very pointedly. Really good. Those are the two guys I want to highlight right now, specifically. Elbow. Great question, by the way. Appreciate you a ton. Kirk says 6.7% chance at number 1, 29.7% chance top 4 for my Spurs combined with the Hawks odds. Let's get it. We'll see what happens there. H.E. Pennypacker says, what do you think of Richie Saunders for next year, destined for G League? So, like, I mean, this is Richie Saunders, for those of you who don't know, plays for BYU. I just, you're looking at a multi-year college player who kind of broke out this year in a big way. But I think the biggest thing for him is, like, if his 3-point shot remains steady this year, that'll be like the big thing for him. Probably going to be a G League guy, 2-way player, maybe. Like, I don't know. The hard thing is, like, going into next year, it's like there's a lot that can change yet. Like, if you go back to my way too early board, like the way too early mock draft, it looks terrible compared to now. So, and that's what happens every year because players don't play the way I expected them to. Things change, right? Like, we're also talking about 18, 19, 20-year-old kids who they don't have that built-in consistency in their life yet to play consistently at a high level. So Caleb says, what do you think the Pels need to succeed this season? New ownership. Caleb, that's going to be the answer there. I don't think there's a commitment to winning in that organization. I'm glad that they made changes in the front office, a lot of them and very significant ones, but we'll see. Andra says, who has the highest ceiling on one side of the ball outside of the obvious prospects? I think Adu Thiero. Adu Thiero has significant two-way upside. Adu Thiero is a guy who, as a junior, people are going to say maybe the ceiling's not as... He's got a huge ceiling. Adu Thiero is going to be very, very good. Cardiac Nix wants to know where I rank Trey Johnson. My last big board, which is the one big board I have up on the channel for this cycle, had him ranked number 5, which I feel fairly confident about. Again, not like fully locked in, but we'll see. John here with some interesting numbers. LeBaron Philon measures in a little bit smaller than I think most people were expecting. 6'2 3/4. I probably would have seen him measuring in about 6'3.5" barefoot, so about 3/4 of an inch shorter. It's not really that big of a deal. Again, I don't hold a whole lot of weight on some of these measurements. Like, they're not the most important thing. He has a plus wingspan, really good steal rate. Like, his numbers throughout the year at Alabama were good anyway, despite being shorter. It's not like all of a sudden he just shrunk. It's just a perspective thing, right? Ryan Kalkbrenner measures in very, very well. 7'1" barefoot, 7'6" wingspan. Not surprising at all here. So very, very good measurements. All things considered, Phylon measures in very well. So that's something that definitely stands out in a big way. We will see what happens tonight. Obviously, tonight is a big night. Thank you, everyone, for watching so far. Let's check how the stream is doing in terms of subscribers. Look at that. Pretty good jump there, up to 32,659 subscribers. Let's see if we can hit 32,700 in the next, let's do 5 minutes. I definitely think we can get 40 subs in 5 minutes. If you guys all go hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Appreciate you guys all a ton. And we will keep our eyes peeled on everything going on here with the draft lottery, draft combine, obviously starting tonight a bit. Do I play basketball myself? Yes. I play basketball. It's not high level basketball. If I'm being completely honest with you, I play with guys at the rec center, right? So it's like, I mean, the run I play in is sometimes really not that good, but we'll see what happens tonight. Obviously, the odds are back up on the stream for you. DeMike wants to know, in my opinion, who has the biggest bust potential in this draft. Jeremiah Fears. I think Jeremiah Fears is a guy who's going to get drafted very, very high and has a lot of question marks yet. Fred the Jake says, hey, utility anyway, Orlando Magic draft the guard Clayton out of Florida. Time out Walter Clayton Jr. I mean, possible. I have a mock draft that I'm going to record tonight that you'll want to see where he goes. Orlando definitely needs some shot creation. Shaquille here says Ace is the second best player in the draft. I do not agree with that at all. I'm a Suns fan, says Elbow Jumper. Shout out to my fellow Brightside writers. Question, do you anticipate the Suns will look to get the Houston pick back if it lands in the top 5, top 8? Too early to ask your take. I mean, I really just depends on how bad Houston wants Devin Booker. I know the reporting today is saying that that they don't. That probably could just be posturing. So I think if it comes down to getting their pick back, it will be in a big trade centered around Devin Booker. If the Rockets trade for Kevin Durant, they're making a mistake. So that's my thought here. Holden says Rockets next season starting 5, Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, Cooper Flag, Kevin Durant, Şengün. Dream team. I mean, I wouldn't trade for Kevin Durant if I'm Houston, but David Yan here says Wemby and Cooper Flag will be together. We'll see what happens. Not your average 10K says I don't want Flag on the Rockets. I mean, Cooper Flag in Houston would be pretty darn good. I'm not going to lie. Brandon says if you can't say Bray or Thero, who do you think we look back on in 4 years and think, wow, that's a steal? Maxime Reynaud definitely could return good value. That's a great question. If I can't say those two guys, I mean, we'll see what Nolan Traore's progression looks like. He could be a guy that, like, once he figures it out, could be very solid, but I'm a little more skeptical of that. Let me go back over to my board and showcase some guys that I think are interesting quick. I think Condon. Mark Sears for sure. Mark Sears will be like a pick in the mid-30s at the earliest probably, and he'll just end up being a very good backup point guard for a while. Ryan Nembhard, another name maybe to consider. We'll see. And by the way, this big board is now a little out of date. This is over a week old at this point. And there are some things like a lot of these prospects are very close or kind of in the same tier rank. Like I'd probably move Will Riley up a little bit if I were to re-record this today. So while you're looking at it, I'm showing you it today. It's not fully indicative of exactly everything I believe, although most of it is about the same. Things are not going to change too drastically between now and the actual lottery or between now and the actual draft, but things will change a little. So keep that in mind, right? A lot of crazy stuff going on today. Bach here says, who has the highest offensive ceiling in the draft outside of the consensus top 10? I mean, Will Riley, maybe. Like, Will Riley can handle the ball and score at 6'9". So Definitely an interesting player. He's one that comes to my mind right away. Enginola says, I'm convinced Fears is legit. I mean, he shot 28% on threes and 42% from the floor, but he can dribble and he can pass. Like there's a lot of skill there. So I'm not like saying, but I'm not saying that I think Fears is good in a bust, but I think if a player who's drafted in the top 10, I feel more hesitant about Jeremiah Fears than others because I don't see him playing off the ball. I don't see him being this elite three-point shooter. I don't know if he's going to warrant super elite volume. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like, let's say Jeremiah Fears goes to a team and the team wins 33 games a year, but he puts up 24 points a game. No one's going to call him a bust, even if his team never makes the playoffs. Now, again, I'm not even saying that's going to happen, but if that happened, people will say, oh, what a home run pick. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Bluebird wants to know if I had Queen at number 3. I did. And I'm going to have a video coming out on Derek Queen here relatively soon, probably this week, if everything goes right. Yeah, I mean, Riley's Will Riley's a player that I am having a lot of struggles trying to fully predict on how his career pans out because he has so much skill that he could be just awesome, but he's also very wiry and slim, and I think it's going to be hard for him early in his career to warrant bigger usage and more volume, all that kind of stuff. So, Random Pizza guy saying questionable off-ball offense seems like the theme for a decent amount of this class. I think a lot of it's going to require firm and good coaching in the NBA. Like a guy like Dylan Harper, he's predominantly been an on-ball prospect, but he was really productive off the ball when he was off the ball for Rutgers. Something they didn't do a lot, but it's very, very notable that I do think just flat out like Dylan Harper's way better off the ball than Jeremiah Fears, and it's because he's way bigger and just better than Jeremiah Fears, especially as a finisher at the rim. Way better. Ryan here says, at what pick do you think the talent starts to noticeably fall off? For example, is a big drop-off after the top 4, maybe the top 6? So in terms of my big board, it's not going to be this way because I do think there is, a little bit of a conversation in the top 3. But I think in the actual draft, when it comes down to it, who's going to get drafted where, I think there's a significant drop off between pick 2 and pick 3. And quite frankly, there's a significant drop from pick 1 to pick 2. Cooper Flagg is head and shoulders better than anybody in this draft by a large margin. And then when it comes to Dylan Harper, compared to the guys who are projected to get picked 3rd, 4th overall, Edgecombe, Bailey, we'll see who else, maybe Trey Johnson in that realm, right? Maybe Jeremiah Fears if the team loves him enough. But like Dylan Harper is a lot better than anyone who I project to be drafted 3rd overall. Now there's players I do like who I would myself pick 3rd overall, but I'm not the one drafting unless the team hires me between now and June 25th. So we'll see. But Enginola says, feel like Riley's the second draft guy. Yeah, this is probably like a great point here. Like he could be, if some team who wants to make some big trade gets him at like pick 16 or 20 or something this year, like he's a guy who gets thrown into a trade package, kind of like what happened with Aaron Nesmith going from Boston to Indiana. Remember, Nesmith was picked 14 by the Celtics. I love that pick for them coming out of Vanderbilt. I loved Aaron Nesmith, the three-point volume, all that stuff. And then he gets traded, and now he's a home run player for the Pacers. Like Will Riley could follow that same exact career pathway a little bit, right? Like Curry, it's actually funny. My voice is up on a few NBA players' Instagrams where they have clipped segments of me saying good stuff about them pre-draft. For example, Grady Dick has a video with me talking about him on his Instagram. So yes, players in the draft, players in the NBA have watched my videos. I have some relationships with players in the NBA through my media work. So yes, ultimately. Rachel here says, where would the 2024 picks rank in this year's draft? Some of them would be in the top 10. A couple of them might even be in the top 5. Like everyone was way too low on the 2024 draft. The 2024 draft was pretty good. The only thing they didn't have was like a clear number 1 player. Basically, if there was a way to move Wembanyama back a year or Cooper Flagg up a year, if there was just that top guy, they would say, wow, this draft's so deep. It's got Cooper Flagg at the top, and then 2 through 20, it's really good. But the issue is everyone looked at it and said, oh, there's no obvious number one pick, so this draft sucks. That's what happened last year. And I said all year long it was stupid. I think everyone last year really overreacted the entire time. Like a lot of them were more projection picks. Like it took a little while, but they're good players. Like going forward, teams would want Stephon Castle. Like if you hear Giannis trades, Stephon Castle's name's going to come up in San Antonio. And like that's my point. I said it last year that teams all of a sudden are going to want some of these guys. And sure enough, not even a year later, not even a year after the draft, Stephon Castle's name is a huge pivot point possibly for a Giannis package. That's not shocking to me. I said it a year ago. Jerome says, why Liam McNeely falling on so many mocks? He had a really bad season all in all. So appreciate you, Ryan, again. Glad to have you in the stream here today. Hope you're doing well, enjoying the content and everything. Halden says, but my feeling is Houston will get the 9th or 10th pick, but it's nice to dream. We'll see what happens. Silver Jaguar says, I think you're being too harsh on Fears. Once you look at his 3-point percentages by type, you'll find out it's mostly off his dribble, his off the dribble 3-ball. Well, but this is the thing. So this is a great point here. This is a great point. And one that, listen, when you look at just raw 3-point percentage, you're going to say, okay, well, it doesn't tell the whole story. And this is completely true. My question to you, Silver, though, on the flip side is, well, how many catch and shoot threes is he going to get if he doesn't move off the ball? I want you to find me a clip of him relocating without the basketball that isn't a set design play. He's lazy off the basketball. There is significant coaching that needs to actually occur here for him to be a very good NBA player. And again, with that said, I still have a lottery grade on him in this draft because I do think the upside, I think some of the functional on-ball skills are very, very good. But at the same time, he's 6'2", not going to be a very impactful, good defender, and doesn't do anything off the ball right now. So, like, if you're concerned about his off the dribble three, well, 90% of his shots in the NBA are probably going to come off the dribble, based on how he projects right now as a prospect. So, I don't know. Strike says, at Utility Sports, if Brooklyn lands Cooper, you think they can parlay the rest of the 3 picks to trade for another top 10 pick in this draft? It might not just be those 3 other picks this year. They have 19, 26, and 27. Very likely what I would expect them to do is try and move like 19, one of 26 and 27, and then some other future asset moving forward. So Zach says, what's up, Sheldon? Just saying, hey, quick, first day on the new job, so can't stick around. Appreciate you, Zach. Hope you're doing well. Crazy day for the first day on the job. I'm not going to lie, Zach. I hope you're doing good, though. Thanks for hopping in. And again, enjoy your new job. Super stoked for you, Zach. And definitely let me know how it's going for sure. Basketball Video Game Enjoyer says, you're the most underrated NBA YouTuber by a huge margin. Might I say you're the Cooper Flag of NBA YouTube? Well, Basketball Video Game Enjoyer, appreciate you a ton. Let's get some W's in the chat for Basketball Video Game Enjoyer. Appreciate you a ton, man. The nice comments obviously do go a long way in helping boost my morale as well. When you're on YouTube, you read the comment section. I read every single comment. Sometimes you see a lot of comments where people don't like you very much. So I do appreciate that. Curry says, if I was actually good enough to get drafted, I watch hella videos. That's funny. Curry. Aiden here says, just went back and saw Mark Williams had a 9'9" standing reach to the combine, which is crazy. Yeah, well, and then he didn't even get drafted that high. Like, I honestly, it was his physicals were unbelievable at the combine. He was unbelievable. Devon says, thank you for your coverage. Appreciate you, Devon. Glad to have you in here. Goldo Beard wants to know if I think the lottery is rigged. No, I do not. They have media. They have teams in there. They have a whole bunch of people watching. So it's not rigged. Danny Lewis says, W stream. Appreciate you, Danny. Hope you guys are all enjoying. Stephon Castle is a no conversation starter for the Spurs. He isn't leaving. This is my point. This is what I'm saying. The Spurs are going to be hesitant. They didn't want to give him up for De'Aaron Fox, remember? And last year, everyone was saying, oh, well, this draft sucks. And the guy who doesn't even get drafted top 3 and Stephon Castle becomes a near untouchable piece, right? So, mimicking the government here says, Utility, when are you going to fix my Pelicans? We need your help. Fixing New Orleans is going to take some work. I'm not going to lie. That's one of the trickier positions to one of the trickier teams to try and fix, I think, all things considered, because they do have a lot of existing salary, existing players that you're trying to build around that I don't think are the easiest players to build around. One guy, though, who I do think is going to be awesome is Trey Murphy for them. I love what I've seen from him growth-wise since he was drafted out of Virginia a few years ago. Trisona says, you think anyone is going to fall from the early lottery? My predictions, we'll go back to those quickly. And I want you guys to comment your predictions as well. I'm going to switch up the ticker here too. My predictions tonight, Wizards, Nets, Sixers, Hornets. So by definition, I have the Jazz falling down to pick number 5, which isn't unlikely at all. They have a 48% chance of falling to pick number 5. So appreciate you guys all a ton for throwing in some of those W's. Casey Park says Carter Bryant is this year's Tamani Kamara. I definitely see he'll be returning some significant value for a team. My NBA player comp, funny enough, where I play basketball, everyone calls me Luka. Everyone says I play like Luka. So, is my favorite player in the NBA. They ask me if my favorite players are Harden and Luka because that's who I play like. They say, and we'll see, but. That's who I get compared to the most. Jerome says, same goes to my Heat squad. What do they need to become a contender? I think Miami's another tricky one now after the Jimmy Butler trade. The one thing that Miami has that New Orleans doesn't is an elite market to attract players. So we'll see. Texas Sports here predicting the Rockets at pick number 1. BTB says Nets, Jazz, Hornets in the top 3. Primal Instinct says Nets and Harper just makes so much sense. That's why I have the Nets at 2. I just have that kind of gut feeling. Brandon S says, I think New Orleans is a good spot going forward. Weaver was great in the draft outside his first year, where I've heard he didn't have full control. And Jody was good at team building, but bad in the draft. I mean, I think for New Orleans, it's just tricky because they're a team that needs to go from being okay, solid when they're healthy to really great. And sometimes that transition's the hardest one to actually make. So, I know I actually guard. I do guard a little bit. I'm just not the most athletic human being of all time, that's for sure. Major View says Brooklyn Nets. And how many hours is the lottery? This is a great question. We're down to an hour 23, which means it's time for another lottery simulation. Let's make sure it's reset here. And we're going to simulate the lottery in 3, 2, and 1. The 76ers jump up again all the way up to number 1. At number 2, the New Orleans Pelicans. Charlotte gets the 3rd pick in this simulation, and then Brooklyn gets the 4th pick here overall. So I'm very excited and happy about that. All in all, I think would be very, very interesting. That's funny, though. That's funny. These comments are really great tonight. Appreciate you guys again. A lot of W's in the chat from you guys. You guys have just been absolutely awesome. So streaming is my favorite thing to do, honestly. So it's just so much fun having conversations, kind of a little bit more off the cuff than the videos typically are, but I hope you guys do enjoy. King Nacho says they just think I look like Luka. I mean, if you saw some of the passes I threw, I think you'd understand. The little Rajon Rondo ball fake behind the back. I've got that in my game. I throw more no-look passes and behind-the-back passes than normal ones. So I think that's where they get that from, to be honest. But Good Hair says I play like Alex Caruso. Sometimes I shoot the ball like Russell Westbrook, though. I'm not going to lie. So you mostly take 30-foot step-back threes. Yeah, I mean, I do complain. I do complain quite a bit when I'm playing, honestly. I won't even lie about that either. Most of the time, it's if I don't touch the ball for a few possessions in a row, I get pretty upset because sometimes my teammates be doing the craziest things. So, Young Lightskin here says my prediction: Mavs at number 4. Don't care about the rest. JB Mixes says praying my Wizards get number 1. Not your average 10K says we're not getting 1. Ray, no measurements were pretty solid. Yeah, I thought they were pretty crazy. Smaller wingspan, but really good standing height. Good standing reach as well. So very good. Utility Sports is definitely a VJ Edgecombe type player. That's probably about as far away of a comp as you can get. VJ Edgecombe could probably jump. If VJ Edgecombe tore both of his Achilles and ACLs right now, he could still probably jump higher than me. Josh, also knock on wood. I'm not obviously hoping for any injuries for VJ Edgecombe. He's an awesome young player to watch. So Josh here says, would Demon on the Nets increase his upside as a player with Jordy at the helm? I do think there'd be value there because he could play off the ball more through some of their delay action, 5-out spacing, that kind of stuff. But Devon says you play like white chocolate. I mean, a bit, but my handle package is a little bit closer to Harden and Luka too. A lot more change of direction. White chocolate was very much downhill, and that, like, obviously, like, I have some of that passing flash too. Like, I definitely see that. So, yeah, shout out to Brandon S for sure. He's been an absolute legend for supporting the channel for a while. Mimicking the government says, Utility, where would you like to see Danny Wolf go? I think Danny Wolf would be a very, very good player for a number of certain team contexts, but I think Minnesota at 17 is one that makes a lot of sense as a hybrid big man for them. You could fit him alongside Rudy Gobert like he played with Vlad Golden this past year. I also think you could play him as a big next to Naz Reid. You could play him as a big next to Julius Randle. I think it gives a lot of flexibility to Minnesota lineup-wise moving forward. Matt here says, I have Westbrook's jump shot, Jokic's athleticism, and J.R. Smith's intelligence. What a my player here, huh? He's got the 62 everything build on 2K. Oh man, I love that. Matt, that's the thing. In reality, if you're comparing me to any NBA player, I'm worse at everything than any NBA player. Thomas Sorber's measurements are very weird. Yes, they super long wingspan, short standing height, pretty respectable standing reach, and then, I mean, put on some weight for sure. Ben Smith says, if Raptors stay at 7, who would be your favorite prospect to them? Favorite draft YouTuber, by the way. Ben, appreciate you a lot. Thank you so much for the comment. Hope you're enjoying the live stream tonight. Very excited for the lottery. And at 7, I really like Derek Queen. But another guy I'm very high on is Kamen Maluach. I don't think enough people have talked about his screen setting. If you go watch Con Knipple highlights, you go watch Cooper Flagg highlights, Kamen Maluach is going to be in all of them as a screen setter, whether it's setting off-ball flares or pin downs or whatever it may be for Con Knipple, on-ball screens even for Con this year. And then with Flagg, sitting in the dunker spot, setting screens for Flagg in 45 action. There's just so much value that Kamen Maluach brought. In my last board, I had him ranked 4th. With some all-star upside. Now, I don't think he'll ever actually be an all-star, but he'll return all-star value in terms of, competing for all defense awards, right? Like, just because he might not get voted into the all-star game or whatever doesn't mean he's not an all-star caliber player, doesn't mean he has some all-star value. And for me, it's very obvious he'll be at worst like a starting caliber player in the league. Even again, if he doesn't start, like, he could come off the bench as a backup big man playing 24 minutes a night, half the game for relieving another center, kind of like what Dallas does with Lively and Gafford. Lively wasn't starting as a rookie, but was clearly a starting caliber player. So I think Maluach, you look at how Lively was used in Duke, and Maluach, very similar role, basically same play style, more productive, more efficient, better at Duke than a guy like Derek Lively was. So I think Maluach, as long as he lands in the right team context with okay to good perimeter defenders around him, and then also, and I think that's why Toronto's a great fit. And then also around some offensive talent, again with Toronto, I think that's a real fit. It opens up a lot of flexibility. He can play to the dunker spot. He can set off ball screens for Grady Dick. There's just so much he can do functionally for an offense, even though people aren't going to talk about him much. I just think there's a lot of value that he can provide to a team holistically. Here we go. Let's go back over to John here. Alex Tui measures in 6'7" and 3/4, kind of about what I was thinking, maybe even a little bit bigger. Probably would have thought he'd be like a flat 6'7" barefoot, so that's pretty good. Todd Pettiford measures in quite small, not surprising here at all. Honestly, maybe even a little bit better than I was expecting. I thought like maybe 6 foot flat. This 1/4 inch is somewhat notable. Again, this isn't surprising. This is a 5th-year prospect, by the way. Like, I don't know. John I. Broom measures in a little bit smaller than I think he would have wanted to measure in at. But, if you're drafting John I. Broom, you're just drafting him because he's a good basketball player. So, opinion on potentially Giannis to my Rockets. Depends on where they land in the lottery tonight. If they get the top pick, they better not do it. If they get the second pick, I would think about it. If they get picked 3 or 4, they need to do it, in my opinion. So, we'll see what happens. Kay Cloven says, Jace Richardson and Ace Bailey, most disappointing measurements for me. Jace measured in very small. Last year we saw Reed Shepherd still get drafted high despite measuring in small. I don't think it's going to hurt Jace's draft stock too much. B-Ball Mute Man, thank you for the 2, says, Kings called dibs on Sheldon fixing the mess in Sacramento. Appreciate you. Let's get some W's in the chat for B-Ball Mute Man here. Has been a long-time supporter, a huge Kings fan. Always appreciate your comments and your just sharing your thoughts and being present here in the live streams and in the videos too. I see your comments. So appreciate you a ton. Let's get some W's in the chat there. Thank you again for the 2. And I would love to take over in Sacramento because that's another team with, I think, tricky long-term questions for sure. BR Grosenbach here says, I see you mock Queen to the Spurs quite often. Do you think he would play the 4? Yes, next to Wemby, he would play the 4, and he would be tremendous next to Wemby. That's like an A-plus pairing, in my opinion. Derek Queen's offensive skill set, his playmaking, his short roll ability, you couple that with Wemby's skills, very, very good. Queen can get on the offensive glass. He can move his feet on the perimeter relatively well. Home run for San Antonio if they could get Derek Queen. Just flat out. I love it for them. B says Malawach will be setting screens for Luka. If the Lakers do trade up in the draft and try and get back into the first round and everything, getting Malawach would be unbelievably good for them. I still think the Lakers would need more work to do to improve their point of attack defense, ball contain. But a big man like Malawach, who has so much screen setting ability and lob potential, very, very good. Twin Cloud wants to know if the lottery's happened yet. It has not. We are just an hour and 15 minutes away. So extremely excited. Jack here says, who do you think fits best as a potential backup to Miles on the Pacers or even as a future starter in the case he leaves this summer? So I think they have a lot of options, right? They could go Maxime Reynaud, Alex Condon, 2 guys who are quite a bit different. Reynaud more of a natural scorer of the ball, kind of fits in as your pick and pop big still, who can drive, attack closeouts in ways that Miles Turner does to a lesser degree. Then you look at someone like Condon, who could be a delay action, top of the key, trail big, who triggers into dribble handoffs. Thomas Sorber's kind of a blend of both where, especially we'll see how he is coming off that injury and stuff, but very long arms, very noticeable wingspan. Obviously, that was one of the big takeaways today from the combine measurements, but his rim protection numbers really back that up this year. I just do think for specifically for Indiana, like shooting is so valuable for them in the front court. So appreciate you guys all a lot. Emerald King here says, if you were Philly and got Cooper, would you try to see what happens with Embiid and Coop, or would you trade Embiid and start over with Coop, Maxey? I'd probably keep Embiid just because I think Cooper is good enough to play right away. Rachel here says, Wolf is a very weird player. I don't think his style of play will be allowed, highlighted by an NBA team. Think how Fredette struggled with extreme role change. I think, well, the thing is, I think for Wolf is, if you're envisioning him in the NBA, I think he'll be more efficient and effective in a smaller role. Instead of being a primary task creator like he was for Michigan's offense, oh, hey, we're going to have him set a screen and short roll, and then we'll have a cutter out of the dunker spot. Like, there's a lot of little nuance in how Wolf can play. I do agree his style of play is vastly different than your traditional big man. He's not just going to be Malawach where it's screen, long roll, catch, lob, dunk, right? Like, you do need a creative coach. You need a point guard who can pass in the short roll. You need certain things around him. But if you have that stuff, it makes him very, very valuable, and it adds little wrinkles and nuance into your offense. It beats drop coverage a bit more effectively. It adds an extra layer to what you can do. And the more skill you have on the floor, the better. I mean, you watch Boston, you watch Indiana, skilled teams, like, it's hard to beat skilled teams. If they're skilled up and down the lineup, it's hard to beat them. And that's what Wolf is going to be, a skilled player. Now, again, is he a 35-minute per game guy? No. But I think there's a lot of value around the league for a guy like him if he gets into the right setting. JC Bio here says, what's up, guys? Who will capture the flag? That is the big question tonight. JC, thanks for being in the chat again. Obviously, been a long-time viewer here on the channel. Really do appreciate you a ton. Raven here says, when is the lottery going to start? Lottery is just an hour and 11 minutes away. Appreciate you guys a ton. Hopefully you are all enjoying. I love seeing the W's fly in here. Tonight is such a big night. Kay Cloven wants to know my thoughts on Jeremiah Fear's overall measurements. Again, it's not the most shocking thing. Carter Knox here, 6'5", barefoot, about kind of what I was expecting for him. We'll see what happens with Kevin Knox in the draft here. I'm not exactly sure what is going to happen, but let's go back over to Gavoni and scroll down until we find Jeremiah Fears, who had a 6'2.5" barefoot measurement, so about 6'3 3/4, 6'4" ish with shoes on. You add an inch, inch and a half, depending on what kind of shoes you wear. 180 pounds, which is still slight, but respectable. 6'5" wingspan. I mean, it's not the end of the world at all. But like, he's still pretty small. So I don't know. It's about what you'd expect though for him. Like, it wasn't like shocking at all. I really think the biggest thing is, if you believe in Fear's on ball to be better than, you for him to really return elite value as a top 5-ish pick in this draft, you need to bet that he's going to be a top 10 point guard in the NBA, basically, in my opinion. So with his play style and everything. So what's Dylan Harper's height now? Dylan Harper is 6'6". Like, he's 6'4.5" barefoot. He's 2 full inches taller than Jeremiah Fears. So he's very tall. It's just, these are measurements without shoes on. These are barefoot measurements. So with that in mind, like, guys are going to be a little bit shorter, but he's got a plus 6-inch wingspan. Like, this is a big guard. He looked the part at Rutgers. If you watch Rutgers this year, he looked bigger than pretty much every guard he was up against. And like, one example that I think stands out to me is, like, earlier this year, Dylan Harper guarded Will Riley when they faced Illinois. So Adam here, thank you for the 2, says, who does Oklahoma City target at 7 with that Philly pick? Obviously depends on who's off the board, but I think Derek Queen would be really fun for them. Shooting Con Knipple, I think, would really open up some of their half-court offense even more. Trey Johnson, if he was available, would be really awesome as well. So very, very excited. Fox here says, will we be watching live on your channel, or you can't rebroadcast it due to copyright? You'll be hearing volume. You'll have what you need essentially in this. So keep that in mind. My thoughts on Will Riley. Do you think he can be a high volume 3-point shooter? I think he'll definitely be a high volume. The question is the efficiency and how well it maintains off the dribble opportunities, because if you're buying on his upside, you're buying on his self creation, which is definitely very intriguing. I just think that's going to be one of the long-term questions for him, for sure. Ace is 6'7.5" barefoot. Yep. Yegor Demon, a little bit bigger than both Flegg and Bailey. 6'8.25" plus wingspan too. Yeah, he's measured in really well. It's not surprising. All year long I've called him a 6'9" point guard who is probably better off playing as a wing forward. But we'll see what happens. Who fits best for the Rockets if their pick lands from 7 to 10? So the Rockets, one thing here, they can't pick 7. They can either pick 9, 10, 11, 12, or 13, or in the top 4. So that's an important note here. They can't pick anywhere from 5 to 8. So if they're picking at 9, like Con Knipple, Trey Johnson, Kasparis Yakachonis, all guys that make a lot of sense. If they're looking in the backcourt, if they want another skilled big man, Derek Queen, if he's available, I would really love. Like, having Şengün and Queen together would be really fun, although it doesn't necessarily help their ability to shoot the 3 ball yet, but it gives them a lot of offensive half-court skill in the front court. And if they move up in the top 4, you guys know the top 4 options at this point. It's Flegg, Harper, Bailey, Edgecombe, tentatively in that order, but Edgecombe probably outslates Bailey at this point, in my opinion, to a lot of people. Farzi says, who will be the gem of the draft and exceed expectations by the end of their rookie contract? Adu Thiero for me, and Kobe Brea, those 2 guys. Who's the best overall defensive player in the draft is a great question. There's a few guys I want to highlight here. I think from a traditional rim protection standpoint, Kamen Malawach is going to be an absurd value player because he probably isn't drafted in the top 5, but he's huge. Measured in 7'1" without shoes on, basically 7'6" plus wingspan, elite standing reach. He's huge, and blocks shots, and is going to be very valuable there. Cooper Flegg is the most versatile defensive player in the draft. Colin Murray-Boyles is very good defensively, multiple effort guy, wins that way in a lot of ways. Edgecombe has potential to grow into one of the best defenders. I think Adu Thiero is going to be one of the best impactful team defenders. There's a lot of other guys too that I could highlight, right? Like guys, there's bigs. there's a lot of value defensively in this draft, in my opinion. Rasheer Fleming, Carter Bryant are a couple of examples that come to mind right away. But like for me, it's going to be probably Maluwach in terms of rim protection value. And then when it comes to versatility, it's Cooper Flagg, which is what makes him such a great prospect as a two-way player. We are coming up on the lottery, an hour and 5 minutes. Let's do another lottery simulation here now in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. The Brooklyn Nets and Toronto Raptors both jump up 5 spots at picks 1 and 2 respectively for Brooklyn and Toronto. Washington moves down to pick number 3. Utah jumps down to pick number 4. This is near doomsday for Charlotte and New Orleans. Both jump down 2. And then, wow, Oklahoma City gets pick number 7. What a crazy outcome that would be. I hope you guys are enjoying the stream so far. If you are, make sure to, again, smash that like button and subscribe. I'm going to check the likes on the stream right now. We are at 226 likes, but we have 750 people watching live. Everyone go smash that like button. I'm going to refresh here in 2 minutes. I want to see that like button up to 300, which means just 75 of you, 10%, have to go hit that like button. So not very many. I definitely think that's very doable. Let's see that number grow and jump right now. Very fascinated. Angela wants to know if I'm live reacting. Yes, that is the plan. Lofo wants to know what VJ Edgecombe's measurements were. Let's go back out here to VJ. 6'4", barefoot, about what we would have expected. 193 pounds, 6'7.5" wingspan. Obviously, you're looking at the physical tools and traits where he's one of the best athletes, quick twitch athlete, jumps off of 1 and 2 feet really well, good in traffic, good into contact. There's a lot of value, right? So, Wish Jews, Maluwach is going to be 7'2". So, ITK says he hit that like button. Lucio wants to know where you can watch the lottery. It is on ESPN tonight. Remember, we do have the first pick odds down there on the bottom on the ticker, so make sure to check that out. Mad Hat here says if Charlotte does fall back to 5 through 7, who do you think is the best fit for them? So Maluwach is an awesome fit with LaMelo Ball as an offensive player. I do have concerns, though, about Maluwach for them defensively. And while I just got done talking about how I thought Maluwach might have the most defensive impact in this draft, Charlotte doesn't have good perimeter defense or ball contain right now. And I think that's going to be a huge issue early in Maluwach's career because at Duke, he had a litany of great defenders around him. Duke had a lot of very good, competent defenders, and Charlotte does not right now. So, ball contain maximizes rim protection, and rim protection maximizes ball contain. Those two things are in unison together. And, it's obviously important to have both, but you can't have an elite one without the other, which is what made Rudy Gobert so special in Utah, because they had elite rim protection despite terrible ball contain, which is unheard of. Basically, throughout history, there's not a lot of other good examples. I think if you're looking for an example of great ball contain and rim protection, look at last year's Minnesota team, which was head and shoulders better defensively than anyone else in the league. Part of a huge reason why they went to the conference finals last year. You look back at the 2000s Pistons with Tayshaun Prince, Ben Wallace, Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups. That team could flat out guard on the perimeter and had an elite rim protector behind them. Like that was a special team, and defensively especially. Like it's rare to get that combination of great on-ball perimeter defense, smart off-ball team defenders, and an elite Hall of Fame rim protector like Ben Wallace. So Turtle Master wants to know where I predict the Hornets will be. Again, my predictions for today are ultimately the Washington Wizards landing Cooper Flagg, the Brooklyn Nets getting the number 2 pick, the Philadelphia 76ers landing at 3, and the Charlotte Hornets netting the 4th overall pick. We'll see. Hot Dog Girl here says, if you're the Rockets, who are you selecting? It depends on where they're at. Like, if they're at pick 9, I like Derek Queen, I like Trey Johnson, I like Con Knippel for them, Kasper Siakachonis, even solid. You'll have to check out my mock draft that'll come out tonight. DV says if Dallas doesn't move up, who do you think they should pick? Again, this kind of hinges on who's available for them. Jace Richardson probably will be available. I could see them going with Jace Richardson. I could see them looking at a guy like Yegor Demon, who's a bigger guard, right? Like, quote-unquote, defense and size wins championships. Although Yegor Demon, I think, has a lot of flaws. So we'll see. ITK says the draft order for round 2 same as round 1. No, draft order from round 2 is purely off of season standings in reverse order. So it has nothing to do with the lottery. ITK, great question. Tonio says, if you're the Rockets, would you rather have Harper or trade for Booker? That's a great question. Both. The answer is both. If I got pick number 2 and I could do other stuff to get Booker as well and go into next year with Harper, Amen, and let's just say like Harper, Amen, Brooks, Booker, Şengün. I mean, that's pretty darn good. You have a lot of positional size. I would not be mad at that. I like both is great, honestly. Elliot Smith says that defense sounds like the Rock. Yeah, like exactly. Like they have elite ball contain, and even like the one thing, Şengün is a very good defender. He's really grown defensively, and a lot of it stems from positioning, IQ, intelligence, and great ball contain around him. What's my opinion on Ben Saraf as a versatile guard? I think he's really underrated. Can be in the top 10. I think Saraf's a good player. I don't think Sergio De La Rey is going to be in this year's draft, PJ. I think I'm pretty sure he agreed to stay in Europe. So Michael wants to know a good comparison for VJ Edgecombe. I think a better Dennis Smith Jr. Is kind of what I see. Similar flaws. Amadou, appreciate you for still being in here. Thank you so much. Brandon Lavender says, what do you think about the Spurs taking Carter Bryant? Definitely don't hate that. Physical tools are there, can guard, big, strong body, low usage player. Definitely is going to translate well into his presumed NBA role, which is going to be off-ball wing who guards at the point of attack and is versatile as a team defender, play finisher in the half court. Derek Callan says, what pick realistically do you see Portland getting for the Blazers? I mean, if we go back to the odds specifically here, more than likely they're going to be at pick 10. They have over a 63% chance to pick 10 in this year's draft. Now, again, crazy things can happen. A team below them could jump, 18.5% chance, or you could look at, like maybe they strike gold here and move up, right? That's definitely not impossible. We saw last year Atlanta had a 3% chance to get the first pick and did. So I would keep Cooper Flagg for your 2K franchise there. My dog. Candemeyer says, can we watch the draft lottery on League Pass? I don't know. That's a great question. I do not know if that works. I know it's on ESPN though. 816 people watching live. Let me refresh on the stream here now and see how many likes we're at. Want to check on that number. You guys are killing it. We're up to 293 likes, just 7 likes away from that 300 goal we had just set. Cooper is, in fact, committed to the draft, Corey. Yes. PJ says, I was trying to say, do I think Dallas should take Ben Saraf? He fit that Luka role. I mean, Saraf would be okay for Dallas. I definitely wouldn't hate it, but I just don't know if I see them doing that. Let's see where we're at now. Over 32,700 subscribers. You guys are absolutely killing it. Growth the last day or so has been awesome. Almost 200 subscribers in the last day. I know we can definitely get there. So everyone go smash that like button on the video today, and then also subscribe. Again, I will be using this in future videos. One thing I do want to highlight quick. This right here is the most insane thing of all time. This is net rating on the far right, okay? This 53 number is Kamen Maluach. Kamen Maluach had a plus 53 net rating for an entire college basketball season. Compare that to Cooper Flagg at the top, who had a 36.8 net rating. This is unbelievable. This is insane. This negative 0.9, by the way, is Ace Bailey. And this negative 1.7 here is, let me double check just to make sure, it's Yegor Demon. So, tells you what you need to know. 0.7 is Jeremiah Fears. So, tells you what you need to know. Interesting stuff for sure. We'll use this in more videos, okay? So don't worry if you don't see too much of it today. We'll definitely see more of it going forward. But I hope you guys are enjoying the content here today. A lot of fun stuff overall. A lot of crazy stuff. Yeah, no one actually fits the Luka role. Craig here says, like the stream. Emerald says, I wish my Magic would just do whatever they have to do to move up for Maluach. Maluach in Orlando would be very, very strong. They would be awesome. the 53 net was Maluach. Common Maluach had a plus 53 net rating this year, which is just ridiculous. Gremlin says we need the Zodiac guy. Go Spurs. He actually is on my writing team for my Substack. So if you guys want to see some of his thoughts and everything, go follow the Utility Sports Substack. Links is in the description right at the very top there for you. Harper's net rating was +8 this year, Isaiah. I have that number memorized. Kandemeyer wants to know if I'm going to show the results in real time. Yes, we will have everything here on the channel in real time. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Farzi wants to know how I feel about Cedric Howard. You'll see him in tonight's mock draft. That's a little bit of a heads up. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Rafael, obrigado. Appreciate you, Rafael. Do speak a little bit of Portuguese. We'll see what happens with your Utah Jazz, though. Texas Sports saying we've hit that like goal, 323. Let's see if we can go above and beyond. Let's see if we can get to 400 likes on today's stream. Definitely think it's doable. Appreciate you all so much. Good Hair says put Behringer in Maluach's place, and there's not a big difference. I mean, we'll see. I do think Behringer has some unique skills, but I don't know. I think that's underselling Maluach a bit when it comes to his play finishing and some of the tools he has on both ends of the floor. So Texas Sports says 793 in the stream here. Make sure you guys are all smashing the like button. If people are watching live, can we agree to not write anything until it has finished because some get the results a little sooner than others? We'll try to go into slow mode if possible. D-Bell, appreciate you for being in here. I mean, there's a lot of players I think would be the perfect fit in certain situations. It just kind of depends. Kandemeyer, thank you for the 55. Appreciate you a lot. He says, thanks. Let's get some W's in the chat for Kandemeyer. Appreciate you, GOAT. Absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for the 55. Ishan here says, what do you think the top 4 will be and what do you hope the top 4 is for teams? Ultimately, my prediction for tonight is that the Wizards get the first pick, the Brooklyn Nets get the second pick, 76ers get pick number 3, and the Charlotte Hornets land pick number 4. Let's sim the lottery here now. Oh my gosh. If this happened, there would be a freak out. Houston up to pick number 1. Philadelphia all the way up to pick number 2 to get Dylan Harper. Charlotte at 3. And then San Antonio jumps into the top 4. What a disaster this would be for Utah, Washington, and New Orleans. Even Brooklyn and Toronto to lesser extents. Oh my gosh. Our Rockets fans loving that here, though. Texas Sports very hyped about this simulation. What a crazy, crazy situation. Good Hair here says Cooper and Harper need to go out east. We'll see where they land. Superman likes the results of this one, though. Mark Springs wants to know when Kobe Bryant will get drafted, if ever. He'll be a second-round pick this year, but he'll definitely bring first-round value, in my opinion. He's arguably the best movement shooter in this draft. It's him or Trey Johnson. And then you can also argue Con Knippel in there for sure. So Ryan says, that's crazy. Adding Flake to the Rockets, it would be insane. Barron says, please, Nets. Make sure to send a message right now where you want the first overall pick to land tonight. B says Luka Maluach duo will feed families. Nezzy says Spurs at 4, Rockets at 1. Levi and Friend says if San Antonio lands 2 through 4, would you trade for Giannis? Yes, I would. If there was a deal that made sense. Yep. Like I said, Baron, thank you for confirming this. Just to be sure, this time of year is always crazy because it's hard to see every little bit of news that I need to see. So Peter Antonius here says any scenario OKC gets the Philly pick. Yes, there's actually a pretty decent likelihood of that. 26.7% chance the Thunder have pick 7 tonight, nearly a 9% chance at pick number 8, and then a 0.6% chance at pick number 9. So definitely not impossible at all there, Peter, for OKC to get a top 10 pick. Raven, I'm trying my best here. Sometimes my comments, it refreshes for me, so I can't, I do miss sometimes. I just found your old one, though, here. If Pelicans get a number 1 pick and got Cooper Flagg, what would they do about Zion? I think they would just keep Zion, honestly. I would be shocked if they traded him. Jamal wants to know, who is that's predicted in the second round? Could you see sneaking into the first round? There always seems to be one. I mean, my mock draft that's going to come out tonight is going to have 2 or maybe even 3 players that I haven't had in the first round yet. So definitely keep that in mind. Cameron, I mean, if you have ESPN, that's going to be your best way. Otherwise, we're going to try and showcase everything you need to know here. Rely K says everyone should trade for Giannis if given the chance. Cooper's future isn't guaranteed. He might even get injured. Meanwhile, Giannis is proven and tested. I mean, you could also make the same argument that since Giannis is older, that he might get injured now. Like, no one's future is guaranteed, really. Yeah, Giannis, like, his last 10 years are proven, but the last 10 years don't help Houston win games now, if it was Houston, right? Like, just because Giannis was an all-NBA player this year doesn't mean that he will be next year because of injury or whatever. Like, now, very likely he will be, but you're looking at 10 years of control. I wouldn't trade Cooper Flag. No, Fears and Richardson will both be first-round picks. I don't think Jace Richardson's going to drop out of the draft at all. I think he'll still very likely be a lottery pick. Rachel says, so if the 14th pick goes to the Hawks, Spurs fans should instantly cheer. Exactly, yep. So this is one thing. I'm going to actually talk on this right now because this is very important. I'm glad that this was the comment that got brought up. On ESPN tonight, when they go through the lottery, they're going to go in reverse order. So they'll start at pick 14. They'll announce pick 14. If they say Spurs, then this pick stayed, right? Because this is the Spurs pick here. If they say Hawks, because the Hawks have this pick from Sacramento, if they say Hawks, that means this pick right here is in the top 4. Okay, so let's say they say Spurs, they say Kings, they say Bulls, they say Mavericks. And then we get to 10. If they say Rockets at 10, that means Portland's in the top 4 now. Does this make sense? I'm hoping everyone's understanding what I'm saying. So if the order goes as planned, as it's supposed to by odds, it would go Spurs, Kings, well, technically Hawks here, right? Because this is the Hawks own this Kings pick. So it would go Spurs, Hawks, Bulls, Mavericks, Blazers, and then at 9 it's supposed to be the Rockets, and then at 8 it's supposed to be the Spurs, and 7 is supposed to be the Raptors. So if any time where we skip one of those, then that way that team is in the top 4. So let's say we get to 6 and we don't hear Brooklyn, we hear Philly. That means the Nets are picking 6. Or another example, let's say we get to 7 here, and instead of hearing Toronto or Brooklyn, we hear Oklahoma City. That means both Toronto and Brooklyn are in the top 4. So very crazy. I'm glad that Rachel brought this up because it's something that every year I just want to make sure you guys are all understanding how this works. So lottery is coming soon. Lottery is less than an hour away, 47 minutes away. And you guys know what that means. Time for another lottery simulation. Oh my gosh, what another crazy lottery sim. Some will say it's rigged. I don't know. But the Spurs up to number 1. Holy cow. Philly up to number 2. Washington down to number 3. And then the Rockets jump up to 4. The Spurs fans on the channel love it. They are liking it a lot. Holy cow. Chair here says, can you talk about your thoughts on Rasheed Fleming, particularly as a fit on the Spurs? Like him a lot. Definitely could help them against Denver, matching up into some of their size and physicality especially. I think his off-the-dribble game offensively is really bad, but he can shoot. So Darius says, if you're the Hawks GM, what's one player you're looking to grab to pair with Trae Young? I mean, it just really stems on my big board. So Darius, I would say check out my big board. At the end of the day, like, fit matters, but if you can draft players who are just flat out good, it helps. So Major Hawks wants to know about how OKC can get their name called tonight. So it's this, the Sixers pick is top 6 protected, okay, from the Al Horford Danny Green trade. So right here, top 6 protected. So in the event that Philly has 2 teams below them jump up into the top 4, pick 7 would convey to Oklahoma City. Hopefully that helps explain it for you. If you have more questions, I'll try and answer them. But Ish says, you're my like, sir. I'm glad you guys all appreciate this. There's obviously, like, you guys are in here. You're seeing me live for 2 hours now. Obviously, this is me spending time trying to explain everything. But behind the scenes, there's so much work that goes into this. Understanding where draft picks are, understanding the protections, understanding the lottery odds, how the lottery works. And all of that turns into other videos. I spend as much time as I possibly can to clarify things, to make it as obvious, simple as possible. I really, at this point, have tried to master everything in the NBA. When it comes to CBA understanding, when it comes to team building, prospect evaluation, I try and do everything. Because one, I'm obsessed. I love it. This is what I live for, basically. When it comes to basketball, I just love it so much. So I'm obsessive. It's kind of who I am as a person. And I hope you guys enjoy it. So, Ish, I appreciate you a lot. Mike says Spurs at 1 will break the internet. I definitely would. Jesse says Spurs didn't have the worst record. Yep, that's not how the lottery works, though. So that's the biggest thing. Smith says utility sports is the best. Major Hawk says, okay, thank you. That did help. Glad to hear. Storytelling wants to know if you can watch on League Pass. That's one thing I'm not clear on. I don't know if League Pass probably won't allow you. It typically doesn't. It typically blacks out ESPN. So Young says Spurs going to take it. Y'all better be ready. Of course, in our most recent simulation, they did. Montrez says, what if they say Dallas at 12? Would the Bulls move into the top 4 then? Exactly. Yep. So if you hear Dallas at 12, that means the Bulls are at, the Bulls are in the top 4 as long as it was also San Antonio. If it goes Spurs, Hawks, Mavericks, then that means Chicago is in the top 4. Correct, Montrez. Great question. And again, I hope that helps explain it. Eric wants to know, could you work for an NBA team if you wanted? I do want to. I just need an NBA team to hire me. That's really what I'm waiting for. If you guys know, from the Box and One, another YouTuber, a bit smaller following than me, but he's been doing it for a long. He had been doing it for a long time. He got hired as a scout by the Sixers. I'm looking to work for an NBA team. That's what I want to do. So, I honestly, so Dog Catcher, great question. If I want to become an NBA GM, I'd prefer to coach over management, because even though I feel like I know all the CBA mechanisms, I know all of that kind of stuff, and I love player evaluation, I love all that. I do feel like I have a special gift as a coach. I've coached high school basketball, and honestly, I love playing. I loved when I was playing basketball. I was a bit younger. I like coaching more than playing. Even you have more control over everything, honestly. So I love coaching. I just love basketball. I'd do anything, honestly. I'd mop the floors if they needed me to. So, One of One Sports says, thanks for the dope content and the hard work that goes into this. How did the Chicago Bulls jump into the top 1 to 4? So the biggest thing is the Bulls have 17 combinations for the first pick. They have technically 19 combinations. Well, sort of. This is by odds, right? So 19 combinations for the second pick, 21 combinations for the third pick, and then ultimately 24 combinations for the fourth pick. So they just need one of these combinations. The combinations are 4 lottery balls in order. So, for example, and the balls are numbered 1 through 14. For example, if it's ball number 14, the ball number 11, ball number 6, and ball number 2. I just made this up, by the way. I don't know the actual combination numbers. No one does before the night of the lottery. And then teams get a packet that contain those combination numbers. For example, if the Bulls have their combination drawn, one of their 17 combinations, they would get the first pick. So, hope that explains. Jacob here says, do you think there are any teams that would trade the first away? Maybe Philly. I don't know. Philly would be interesting because I could see them doing something with Paul George's contract and the first pick for Giannis. But at the same time, I wouldn't recommend that. I really don't think any team should trade the first pick away, but we'll see. I think Philly getting Cooper Flagg would be insane and very good for them. Will Walter Clayton Jr. be a first-round pick? Very possible. Ryan says, didn't you work with Minnesota? Yeah, so I worked around the team. I was a media member, so I was doing journalism. I was in the Timberwolves locker room, all that stuff. But it's different than actually working for the team where I'm making decisions and coaching and that kind of stuff. And the entire year that I was around the team, I felt like I wanted to be coaching the team or in the team compared to around it. So that's a pretty big difference there. I still do have a favorite team, the Dallas Mavericks, but if you watch the channel, you know that I root for all 30 teams. I love good basketball, and I'm just not cheering only for my one favorite team. I think that's one of the things that separates me from a lot of other channels. I'm really not biased. In fact, I feel like if anything, I hold Dallas more accountable than other teams, and it makes me mad when they do stupid stuff. So, Gremlin says, no matter what, people will cry rigged. Still waiting on a solid theory, like RFID switching the vacuum. That's funny. Yeah, it definitely isn't rigged, but it's definitely fun to joke about that a little bit. Aaron S says Rockets, Spurs, and OKC need that top 4 pick to help trade for Giannis. So Oklahoma City can't get a top 4 pick though. So we'll see. Foxhound says, which team would you want to work for? Any of them. If any of them gave me an opportunity, that would be fantastic. Yes, and Adam Spinella. Yes, thank you guys for reminding. It's funny when I was really young, like I watched a couple Adam Spinella videos. I've never been a huge content devourer from other people, to be honest with you. I just have spent more time watching film myself than anything. But yes, I have watched a few videos from Adam Spinella back in the day, and part of the motivation to get me into doing YouTube. So shout out to Adam Spinella. He's an absolute beast. And again, I'm very happy for him. And in basically his first draft with the Sixers, they walked away with Jared McCain outside the lottery. So what a home run that was, huh? Cool Breeze says, is there a good chance the Kings can get a top 4 or 5 pick? They have a roughly, let me do the math, 3.8% chance in the top 4. Okay, 3.8%. So I wouldn't say it's a good chance. There's a chance, though. Shador will not hear his name called tonight. That's for sure. Major Hawk said, we're watching Brad Stevens 2.0 in the making. It's funny. I do feel like out of every GM and executive in the league, when it comes to my own decision-making and evaluation process, I do feel like I most align with Brad Stevens. A lot of the stuff he does is stuff I feel like I would have done. I tend to find myself in agreement with his decisions. Like when he traded for Porzingis, I thought it was a home run, no-brainer decision. Of course, Porzingis has been out inexplicably with some health stuff this year that has hurt Boston a little bit. But last year we saw how great that team was. So shout out to Brad Stevens, man. One of the smartest guys in basketball. Oren here says, working in the NBA is very low pay at the bottom. At the end of the day, if you love something enough, it's not really work. So, I mean, if you see the amount of time I put into YouTube videos, like I'm not necessarily walking out super rich from YouTube. So that's just the reality. I mean, I work hard. It doesn't change my desire to record and do that stuff because I love basketball. So at the end of the day, I feel like if you try to work in the NBA just to make millions of dollars, you're doing it for the wrong reasons and you're probably not going to succeed. So Young here says Spurs going to move up from 8. Wemby and Cooper definitely would be crazy. Cher here says over the 14th pick, assuming it goes to the Hawks and thus to the Spurs, would the envelope show the Hawks logo or the Spurs logo? So this is a great question. Cher, honestly, this is one I don't remember what'll happen. I think they'll show the Spurs logo and I think it'll say via Atlanta, but don't hold me on that because I don't for sure remember or know. So Corey says, if I got hired by an NBA team, would you still do utility sports on YouTube? It depends. Like, I would love to, but I might not be able to. So that'd be just kind of the reality with it. But I mean, I would still work hard enough so to make it happen if I could. So Meatman says, do you prefer the lottery or would you like the NBA to do it like the NFL? I love the lottery. If it would be so boring if the Jazz just got the first pick because they had the worst record. It would be so bad. If it was just the worst team got the first record, fixed order, there would be teams intentionally trying to lose every game of the year. It would be very bad. Especially, like, could you imagine the Wembanyama year? We would have had 3 teams trying to go 0-82. It would have been bad. So Brandon says, I can see why a guy who can't shoot or is a bit small gets undervalued and big boards differ a lot, but how is Fleming and especially Brea so low on consensus boards? Wild to me. That's the thing. I don't get it. Especially Brea. Like, Fleming is still mostly viewed as a first-round player at least. Like, and there are some significant problems with Rasheer Fleming. For Kobe Brea, he has some serious flaws, but he's like just flat out an elite shooter in a league and going into a league that values shooting. He's going to be awesome in a role. Like, he's going to be this year's Sam Hauser. I just really like it. I'm going to have the lottery audio. Yes. So Reddy says, I'm telling you, Adam Silver told the Mavs if they tanked out of the playoffs and traded Luka to the Lakers, they'd give him Cooper Flag. Definitely going to be some eyebrows raised if the Mavericks get the first pick. Almost 900 people watching live. Really do appreciate you guys a lot. Having a lot of fun today streaming. Really do love streaming. We're up to 370 likes on the stream today. You guys are absolutely killing it. Kyler, welcome to the stream, Kyler. He's been watching the channel for a while. Shout out to Kyler, man. Appreciate you a ton. Says OKC getting the 7th pick would make my year. Sam Presti is a hoarder. definitely would be huge for them if they get that pick. When it comes to Liam McNeely draft range, I really just flat out think he's going to be a pick from 20 to 28, somewhere in that range, most likely. AB says we need Jaden Daniels and Cooper Flagg in one city. DC needs the pick. He says that with a Jordan Love, with the Jordan Love profile picture. I like it though. Kashka says realistically, what would a Giannis trade to the Spurs look like financially? Fox needs a max. Wemby will get paid. Is it even realistic? I still think it is realistic. Like, there's ways to fit salaries in, especially with the Spurs having future draft pick control, but a lot of stuff's going to have to go right for them to ultimately maximize that. We are 35 minutes away from the NBA draft lottery. I'm going to try and keep this stream up here now, this screen up for as long as I can. So, yes, I will be live reacting to the lottery. It starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Really appreciate you guys a ton. It should be called a bingo, not a lottery. I mean, it is a lottery. What are the odds of the Blazers moving up in the lotto? The Blazers have a 3.8% chance to move up to pick number 1. Jamal Douglas says teams would have more success if they just drafted good basketball players. Yes, very much so. Drafting someone like Tidjon Salon last year is going to forever be a head scratcher to me. Just did not like that pick at all for Charlotte. So, RDM wants to know if Malawach is all size, no skill. I mean, some of his skilled things are attributed to size, like his rim finishing. People are just going to say, oh, he's big, but he's got pretty good touch. He's got great hands. He catches the ball really well. Like, that's skill. That's big man skill is so much different than traditional basketball skill. Like, when you talk about dribble, pass, shoot, like, you need to evaluate big men in a lot different ways if they're not a perimeter style big, like Derek Queen. Like Kamen Malawach, he's got great hands, very good catch radius, screens extremely well. He's super physically gifted, knows where to be. Like, another skill thing for bigs is like understanding offensive positioning, where to be without the ball, when to be where. Like, those are all things Malawach is very good at. And while he's not the most skilled player in terms of having the ball in his hands, creating anything like that, playmaking, I think there's enough there where the skill set is going to really work with the style of play that you're going to want him in, which is screening, rolling, playing around the rim, out of the dunker spot, getting on the offensive glass. All that stuff is good. Generational hater, I think the answer to this is most of them. I do think VJ Edgecombe will probably be drafted above Ace Bailey. And I don't think the measurements today helped Ace Bailey a ton. Johnny Kreigel here says, go Spurs, go. Appreciate you, Johnny. Glad to have you in here. Major Hawk says, who are you highest, lowest on compared to consensus? I'm highest on Derek Queen, Kamen Malawach, Kobe Brea. Obviously, not all of them are going to be in my top 10. Like, Kobe Brea is not a top 10 player in this draft to me, but I like him a lot more than other people like him. And then when it comes to lowest on, I think there's a list. I'm still kind of balancing out where I'm at from 25 through 60 in my board. And the reason why is there's the lower you get on boards, the closer in proximity a lot of the players are. The tiers typically really differentiate themselves in the top 10, top 15. Then you get from like 25 to 40, and you might have, you might be splitting hairs between 16 prospects on who you like more. And then it also ultimately comes down to landing spots. So I do think I am lower than a lot of people on Jeremiah Fears. I'm a little bit lower than others on Noah Sengue. I mean, it just kind of depends. Everyone has their own perspective. So consensus is kind of a hard thing to really come to anyway. Some guys might have a Sengue second in this board, which I've seen, and I think is crazy, by the way. And then some people might have him 18th, which is lower than I have it. So I think that's the challenging thing either. Lofo says they couldn't do it an hour earlier. Europeans going through it. I am sorry to hear that. For me too, I'm honestly this is my first ever draft lottery in the Eastern time zone. I've been typically a Central time zone warrior. So this extra hour for me even is feeling a little bit different. I'm used to it being at 6 p.m. Central time. So the 7 p.m. Eastern time is a little different for me. I've been up all day long. I've just been nervous, anxious, and I want to get it done. I want to get to it because I'm just so excited. So I'm going to have live reaction and some audio, Peter, so everything should be in there. Jerry says 1:26 in the morning. I can feel that headache already. Pluto guy saying, please, Utah, get the first pick. Appreciate you guys. Given Sorber's measurements, who do you have higher now, Sorber or Newell? I still like Newell more, to be honest, but like people are going to be high on Sorber. So Melverk says, I missed the measurements today. Who are the biggest surprises? Sorber's measurements played out pretty well. Thank you here, Killer, for the 2. Says Flag will play for the Jazz in Utah. Appreciate you a ton. Thank you so much for the 2. To be honest, I haven't seen too much of Sam Vicenti's work. I don't watch his podcast or listen to it or anything like that, but I have come across some of his beliefs on Twitter. And I do find myself in agreement with a good deal of what he says. So again, I don't really watch too many other people. I don't want outside perspectives shaping mine too much. It's not that I can't learn from people. I definitely can and have. But for the most part, like when I'm recording, I want you guys to get my thoughts. And that comes from hours and hours and hours of film evaluation. Like today, I literally spent 2.5 hours re-going over Derek Queen film so that way I could record a video on him later this week. And I spent probably 45 minutes just rewatching some Dylan Harper today, just because I felt like doing it. So at the end of the day, like, you know, I'm not saying anyone else isn't doing a good job when I say I don't watch other people. It's just I want to have my analysis be my analysis at the end of the day. So that's one of the biggest things. Generational Hater says Dallas front office should be rewarded. What team am I rooting for? I'm not really rooting for a team to win. Now my ultimate prediction, though, is the Washington Wizards to get the first pick, the Nets to get the second pick, Philly gets the third one, and then the Hornets get pick number 4. That is my projection and prediction going up. Brian here, a longtime member on the channel. Thank you, Brian. Says Spurs move up into the top 4. He's calling it now. Appreciate you. Tim says, did Alex Caravan withdraw from the draft? He never declared. Yeah, well, he actually did. He did declare and then withdrew like immediately. Yeah, he has fully declared, fully withdrew, Tim. He's going back to Stores for UConn's senior season. Appreciate you guys all a ton. Everyone smash that like button and subscribe. Not Too Fam says, do you use Synergy when breaking down film? I have in the past. They had some changes this year, including increasing their costs. And quite frankly, I'm not going to buy Synergy. I don't think the numbers and the data that they have is essential to evaluate prospects. I think it's helpful. I don't think it's essential. And for me, I wasn't going to spend thousands of dollars this year to do that. With some of their changes that they made to their company. I had it last year. I used it last year. And I've used it in previous drafts, but not using it this year. But I've watched so many full games and everything. Like, I mean, I find ways to get my hands on film. So, like, at the end of the day, if you work hard enough, you don't need Synergy. So, and I work very, very hard. So, Trey Farrell says, thoughts on Miles Bird? I want to see some 3-point consistency from him, and in a better way. He's been consistently not an elite 3-point shooter, and I think a lot of people are kind of painting him as this 3-and-D wing, where the 3-point shot's not really reliable or consistent at this point. So, Zayad says, can you give me something to look forward to today as a Bulls fan? I mean, you guys have a chance. You guys have a chance. Let's do a lottery simulation here now. Philadelphia up to number 1, Toronto up to number 2, Pelicans at 3, and the Spurs at number 4. These lottery simulations just tend to love the Sixers, do they not? Colin here says 10.5% chance to get Cooper Flag and save Sixers basketball. I'll take it. That's exactly what happens in this simulation. SP says the winning combination will be 4, 7, 11, and 13. There's SP's bet. Again, they draw 4 lottery ping pong balls, so maybe that could be the combination today. Mantra says, why is D-Wade's son not in the NBA draft this year? I mean, his first son did not pan out when it came to the NBA, and I'm not going to be talking about the second one. Good Harris says, when are the foreign guys getting measured like Asengwe and Avdilas? Probably in like a week and a half or something. They always have the international combine a couple weeks after. Jordan Villa says, every year there seems to be a late pick that makes an instant impact. Almost always it's a guy who's an upperclassman. Andrew Nembhard, Trace Jackson Davis. Who is that player this season for you? Kobe Brea. Second round pick. He's going to play. He can shoot. He'll get on the floor. Yeah, Philly is getting blessed in these sims. Only YT says, let's go Raptors. David C says, Flake can't save 76ers. They are doomed. Sean says, how strong would you say this draft is? I think every draft is strong. Now, the difference in quality at the very top of the draft is not always the same. Every single draft is about the same. It really is. Like, you know, there's some of the outliers like 1996, 2009. Those are some picks those are some years that are outliers. 2003 or 2023. 2003 as well. I need to mention another outlier year with LeBron. But for the most part, every other draft is relatively similar in terms of overall totality of strength. Obviously, the very top pick changes, like having Wemby or Flagg in the draft changes compared to having Zachary Sachet first. But the draft every year is going to produce a few all-star caliber guys, a plethora of starting caliber players. Like the drop off, like if you have pick 10 in every single draft, your chance of getting a good quality player is still very high in every draft, as long as you know what you're doing. And then people will cry about that and say, oh, that's not true. But then teams like Phoenix and so on and so forth pass on Tyrese Halliburton at pick 10. I mean, if they just knew what they were doing. Like, for me, I love Tyrese Halliburton. I had him ranked like third or fourth in that class. I don't remember. But I loved Halliburton. And it's like insane that he didn't get picked by Phoenix that year, for example. Texas Sports, one of our moderators here says, hey guys, come to the Discord. Voice channels will be open for a live reaction to the lottery. Come get a roll. Let us know your team. Join to manifest. Some good luck for your team. You guys heard Texas Sports there. I'm going to be sending in that link to the Discord. I want everyone to go join it right now. Go join in there. Texas Sports, an absolute awesome moderator. Make sure to go show some love to him. GNS says, in my sim, the Bulls got number one. I'm so happy. Again, make sure you guys go join the Discord. Jamal says, as a UK guy, I have to ask your opinion about my UK brother, Amari Williams. So here's the thing with Amari Williams. I just don't know what the NBA future is really going to look like for him. If any, like fifth year senior, I mean, really no 3-point shooting to speak of. Like he's another really good college big. Maybe there's a role in the league. He probably sticks in the G League. I don't know. I don't want to be too skeptical here, Jamal. Obviously, got to show some love to him, right? But it's hard because I try not to be pessimistic, but there's certain examples, right? Rogue says, would you be shocked if San Antonio used 14 to trade down for Brea? Yes, just because I think San Antonio more likely, if they're trading that pick, wouldn't be for this year. It would be for future drafts, just like they did last year. I think San Antonio is looking at long-term pick control over everything else. Again, reminder, click this link. Go join the Discord. Really appreciate you guys. Swavey says pick number 2 seems to be a cursed pick. That pick produced a lot of buzz. I mean, yes, but also no. I mean, Memphis got Ja Morant at number 2. I say that, and he decided to flex a pew on Instagram. But, dude, Mohamed Debone is special. That kid is going to be so good. I think he's going to be 2029, I think. I'm not exactly certain on his draft eligibility. That's something I need to go back and look. But I'm telling you, this kid, Mohamed Debone, you guys are going to, 3 years from now, you're going to be like, wait, where have I heard that name? It's from right here. Mohamed Debone is special. He is really, really, really darn good. Really great. Mark Markson says, hey, 400 likes. Appreciate you guys all a ton. Let's see how many subscribers we're at now as well. Number is growing quite well. Let's try and get to that 32,800 subscriber mark. Everyone go smash that subscribe button right now. Really do appreciate you guys. Let's see if there's any more updates on some of the physicals here. Chaz Lanier measures in. Honestly, Chaz Lanier measured in better than I thought he would. This is really, really strong measurements for Chaz Lanier. 6'3 and 3/4, 6'9 wingspan. Like, this is a really, really strong measurement for him. One that is way better than I was expecting it to be. Dink Pate measures in pretty well. 6'6 and 1/4, 6'9 and 3/4 wingspan. This is a good measurement for him. He's obviously very wiry, skinny, but solid. RJ Luis measures in quite well. Bryce Williams, about what I was expecting. Darian Williams measures in a little bit smaller. I was kind of hoping like 6'5" and a quarter for him. I don't know. This isn't bad. The almost flat wingspan's not great either, but I definitely think returning back to college is probably the best move for Darian Williams this year. Ben Henshaw measures in about what I was expecting. Miles Bird, obviously long arms. Like that was like the most obvious thing, but 6'4" and 3/4, like not bad. He'll be standard 6'6" with shoes on. Like I do think like Darian Williams did not measure in well for his play style archetype and everything, and skill sets. And think Paint measured in fine. Lanier, I think, measured in quite well, honestly, all things considered. So Derek here says, where do you have Phylon on your big board? Phylon on my big board last time was at 28, but I don't know. Things are still fluid in here. This like 20 to 40-ish range is still very fluid for me. So I don't know. Things are changing. A lot of stuff's going to flip and switch around a little bit. So Leaky Black says, please Spurs. Caden here says, Kadari Richmond, got any chance? I love his defensive ability. GNS says, where do you think Rocco Zikarsky goes? Zikarsky is going to be a second-round pick if he stays in the draft. I would love for Rocco Zikarsky to look at the college route, but we'll see what happens ultimately. I don't think CMB measured in small at all, to be honest with you. 6'6" and a half is about what I was going to expect. So very, very expected what I was thinking. Generational Hater says his wingspan is 6 inches greater than his height. That's mine too. I've got a 6'7" wingspan. Mott says, is he a 4 or 5? Talking about CMB. Like, I mean, he's a 4 who will play some small ball big, hopefully next to a stretch big. But Sam here says, I'm hoping Rajon Rondo's kid draft year lines up about when AD retires so he can be my new favorite player if he's good. We'll see what happens with Rajon's kid. Some of the clips are impressive so far, but obviously need to sit down and actually watch him more. 2029 would not make him 12 years old. 2029 is 4 drafts away, so it would make him like either 14 and a half or 15, which is what I think he is. But again, it comes down to his birth date. Like Cooper Flagg, if Cooper Flagg was born 3 weeks later, he wouldn't be in this draft because of the draft rules. So Michael Key says, could Wizards be able to get Asa Newell at number 18? I don't think that's unrealistic. I don't think that's impossible. Mud Dog says, your big board is unique and awesome. Love the way it's structured with all the tiers and the way some players overlap and others don't. Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. Obviously, like you can tell there's spacing in between some prospects, and then some of them, like Wolf and Newell here, are very tight, close together. I do need to make a couple of adjustments and changes. There are some things more. Just after going back to the film again and again and again, there are some things I do want to shake up in here that'll be a little bit different. But I hope you guys are enjoying. Again, we are just 17 minutes away from NBA history being created. Most overrated, underrated player this year. Probably overrated Ace Bailey, underrated Kobe Brea, Mark Sears to a certain extent. And again, like it's not that I'm saying those guys are better than Ace Bailey, even I'm not. But in terms of where their expected draft ranges are, is what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, he's definitely not. I mean, I think he's 14 something, which is still crazy. Like if he's actually like 14 and a half years old, like he's absurd. He's generational if he's actually that young. Amadou says, all of a sudden I feel very nervous. Which player do you think has the best and worst work ethic or motor? This is something I try not to talk about too much. These are young men who are trying to set up their lives and have a livelihood, a career. And I think it's very, very disgusting when reporters and people talk about these young kids, 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old humans who have been working towards something their entire life up to this point, and they say nasty stuff about their work ethic. And, you know, when it comes to best, I do think Cooper Flagg has one of the best work ethics in this draft. I think that shows up in the way he's progressed the last 3 years from where he was before his career at Montverde started to where he is now. It's very, very impressive. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not gonna talk bad about a player's work ethic or motor, just because I feel like a lot of that stems from not actually knowing anything about basketball. When you hear certain analysts talk about that in a draft discussion, it's because they can't tell you anything about the player's skill set. When you watch my videos, you'll notice that everything is skill set oriented and size, or like literal basketball, physical tools, everything that actually has to do with basketball. And at times, yes, knowing their work ethic is important. It really is. And I'm not saying that's not an important thing at all, because it is. And when you're drafting, you need to know it. But for me, if I don't personally know these humans, and sometimes I do talk to them, like, you know, there's certain players that I've mocked in the past and have talked, like I literally have relationships with some of the players that I've talked about, you know, with their families and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to say bad stuff about a 18-year-old kid from a work ethic, motor standpoint, because I just think that's irresponsible, to be honest. So, yes, Flagg will be the first overall pick, Daniel. Thank you for the question. Fred says that's definitely fire. Appreciate you, Utility Sports. Appreciate you, Fred. Justin says ace. Brian says if Spurs move into 2 to 4, do you think they should leverage for Durant, Giannis, or use the pick? 3 through 4, they should definitely move for Giannis. I would stay away from Durant, basically. Breezy says, would you ever do videos on high school recruits? I think it would be entertaining. I mean, yes, but I think the hard thing is, like, a lot of those videos become pretty dated pretty quickly, because you can, like, for example, if I were to have done something on Nick Smith Jr. A couple of years ago, I mean, it might have gotten views, but it doesn't really pertain to his actual draft stock. So it's hard because, like, sometimes, like, doing some of the high school recruits, like, I mean, I watch them all, right? Like, I've been watching Darren Peterson, I've been watching Cam Boozer, I've been watching Caden Boozer, Nate Mentz, right? Like, I've been watching these guys, right? But at the end of the day, like, right now, what I say about Cam Boozer before his career at Duke starts doesn't really hold as much weight, because the college season is what gives us a lot of insight. So I do think about doing that, but it just doesn't carry as well as I would like it to, for it to be the best use of my time. Swavey here says, any chance Bailey would drop to 6? I think maybe if a player drops in this draft from the top 4 that's projected that high, it's going to be Ace Bailey. Oklahoma City has picks 15 and 23, I believe. Let me check on, no, 24. Pick 15 and 24. And then they also could theoretically have picked 7 or 8, depending on what happens tonight. H-Dub, shout out to you. Pues yo pienso que los jugadores de España. So I do speak Spanish, but my Spanish is really rough right now, actually. I just haven't been speaking Spanish very often. I was fluent for a while. I wouldn't call myself fluent right now. I'd have to practice and warm up again. My Spanish brain's a little fried right now. But Hugo's interesting. I like the dribble, pass, shoot skills as a wing. Obviously, the swing skill is going to be the shooting. But I trust the mechanics there. I like Almanza. I think there's a sneaky value player in Almanza. I'm curious to see if he actually comes out for the draft or not, for sure. And then Sergio De La Rey is staying overseas, so he will not be in this draft. Jamal says, are you going to be tuning into the Adidas Next Generations tournament coming up soon? A lot of guys that we'll be hearing about in the next few drafts will be playing. I try to. Sometimes it depends on my schedule and if I'm able to actually get to it. Sometimes I'll just watch film back. I do agree, motor and endurance is a skill, but it's just I'm not going to talk about a player's motor if I don't feel 100% completely, especially in a negative way. I talk about Colin Murray Boyles because I think he's got a high motor, multiple effort plays. I'm not going to speak bad on players unless it's just a skill set thing. So Asa wants to know if this stream is going to show the lottery. It's going to have the volume for the lottery. So everything you need here. Appreciate you guys all so much. Really hope you are enjoying the stream so far. Can we get a simmed lottery every 2 minutes once we are 10 minutes away? Yes, let's start now, actually. We're going to reset here. Doing the lottery simulation in 3, 2, 1. The Washington Wizards up to pick number 1. Portland jumps all the way up to number 2. Charlotte up to sticks at number 3, excuse me. Utah falls all the way down to 4. We do have a little bit of slight falling in here with Portland making that jump up from the 10th best odds to number 2. Definitely crazy. Dick's Dog wants to know my sleepers in the first and second round. Adu Thiero, Kobe Brea, Mark Sears. Definitely a few others. Maxime Reynaud, someone who's starting to get more and more buzz. Ryan Nemhard, definitely an interesting one. 2, what's the max potential of Alperen Şengün? All-NBA. He can be an All-NBA player. And yes, I did see this comment earlier about Queen. Darius here wants to know if I end up with 1 million subscribers, would I still give up the channel for an NBA front office coaching career? I mean, I love basketball, so I want to coach and I want to be on a team and stuff. So it's hard because I do here's the thing. I do love this too. Right. I clearly put a lot of time, effort, and work into it, and I wouldn't do that if I didn't love it. So I don't know. For me, I'd be sad to give it up even where it's at right now with 33,000 subscribers, right? 32,796 subscribers, 4 away, by the way, from 32,800. But I'd be sad to give it up now. But at the same time, I do want to work in basketball. So it's I don't know. It's a great question, Darius, though. Thanks for asking. Mud Dog says, I watched Amen Thompson shooting workouts with the coach prior to the draft and was very impressed. I mean, yeah, Amen Thompson, he still has a lot of room to grow as a scorer shooter, but I mean, he's only in just finished the second year of his career. BB Cradio wants to know my thoughts on Hanson Yang. Skilled big. I'm concerned about foot speed, drop coverage, defense, but there's skill there, so we'll see. JMR says, who do you believe is the best fit for the 76ers? I do think Philly's kind of a tricky one. Cooper Flagg is the one that solves a lot of their issues. I'm just not sure. We'll see where they land, and then I'll talk about that in my mock tonight. Yes, we'll have the lottery here. Al Josa, Aaron K says, who's the best move for the Nets if they don't get Flagg? Dylan Harper, number 2, would be their best next bet. Kareem Sala says, where do you think Ryan Kalkbrenner will go? He's another value pick, right? He's a guy who definitely could be a second round pick, but will return some value right away. Jace definitely is going to drop, says unlimited. We'll see. I mean, he measured small, but I mean, so did Reed Shepard last year, and he still was a top 3 pick. A different draft class, right? But still valuable. I mean, if they got pick 2 like they did in this simulation, they would probably just trade Anthony Simons to see which team. This one right here, Orlando. We'll see what happens, but appreciate you guys. Obviously, we are coming up. A lot of crazy stuff. Over 1,100 people watching live. Make sure you guys do hit that subscribe button. Let's see that number grow. There it is, 32,800. Let's see if we can get all the way up to 33,000. That would require 200 people hitting that subscribe button right now. Definitely is possible. And let's go ahead and smash that subscribe button while I simulate the lottery here one more time in 3, 2, 1. Wow, what a simulation. Charlotte up to number 1 to keep Cooper Flagg in North Carolina. Sacramento up to number 2. Philadelphia at pick number 3. And then at pick number 4, the Brooklyn Nets. I do want to do something real quick here. Stay tuned, okay? Just hold on. I want to see if you guys are able to hear this. This is going to be my question for you. Are you guys able to hear that? That's my question right now. Can you hear this? Let me know if you can hear this audio right now. No, okay. That is great. Thank you for telling me that. Let's see if we can find a way to solve that. I'm going to make sure that this gets set up right now. I know a couple minutes before the lottery. Obviously, I wish I had this ready before, but I didn't want to have just audio playing terribly. Let me make sure my audio is still working. So I'm getting some messages that it's being a little weird. Okay, I've got my mic set up good. Okay, let me let's do another lottery simulation here so you guys have something to look at, think about. I'm going to continue working on getting this audio working, okay? Because I do want you guys to be able to keep up to date with everything, and we're going to make sure that we have the lottery set up right for you guys. Can you hear this now? No, okay. So that was not working. That was not coming through. That's good to know. Okay. We are going to try to make sure that this works. To have the audio turned down for now. Okay, we're going to make sure it works. Don't worry. I do have a plan worst case if we need to. So let's go over to here to Gavoni quick. Rutgers represented at the NBA Draft Lottery. Both Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey there in attendance. We are just a few minutes away. Okay, Jordan, thank you for letting me know as well. We're going to make sure that it's working. Don't worry, everything's going to be just fine. I have a backup plan that I think should work out in the event that we need to change some things up. But yeah, those glasses for Ace Bailey are definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. Mute Man says sound is better. We have over 1,000 people watching, over 1,200 people watching right now. Again, the lottery is just a few minutes away, 4 minutes in fact. So I am extremely excited here. Looking forward to it big time. Let's see if this will work. Appreciate you guys all so much. Again, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Remember, I got the first overall pick odds down on the bottom of the screen there. Utah, Washington, Charlotte kicking us off with the best odds. Obviously, a lot to keep our eyes on, but we are super stoked for this draft lottery. We are just 3.5 minutes away. Very excited for that, all things considered. Appreciate you guys all so much. Welcome everyone in here. Patrick, thanks for being in here. Absolute legend. Let's get another lottery simulation here now on the channel. Utah with the first pick in this one. Brooklyn, number 2. And Chicago with the third pick. Chicago jumping up in this lottery simulation. Definitely interesting thing to watch for sure. We will see what happens ultimately. It won't be on the screen, but you'll be able to hear it. So everything should be working out just fine in that regard. Keep your eyes on it for sure. If the audio gets a little distorted, that might be the worst case scenario. Obviously working on ways to figure out solutions around it. But here we are. Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper at the lottery. Here is my obsessive board that I've got. Samuel says, I like this sim for Chicago. Wide Frame says, go Spurs. Let's get another lottery simulation here with just 2 minutes to go. Charlotte up to number 1. Again, that was my fiance's pick, my fiance's prediction. Let's get some meeps in the chat right now for her specifically. Her pick was keeping Cooper Flag in Charlotte, or in North Carolina there. Swift wants to know if I think Giannis will go to the Spurs. We'll see. Over 1,600 people watching live. Amadou's not liking the Sims. Let's sim it one more time here. Toronto up to number 1. Utah 2. Charlotte, then Philly. What a crazy turn of events. This is, of course, Tankathon. We are keeping our eyes on everything here. We are just a little bit away. Let's see how the subs are coming. Over 32,800 now. Appreciate that a ton. Brandon says, first year I don't have to hear Pistons fall to number 5 in a long time. Yes, it is for the first time in a while here, Brandon. Glad to have you in the stream here again this year, though. In this one, Did that not just have, I thought it had the Spurs at number 1, but it had Toronto here at number 1. Houston wins this lottery. Wow, what a crazy simulation. We're going to do 2 more simulations here in the final minute. Let's simulate one more time now. Wow, Sacramento up to number 1. Appreciate you guys all so much for tuning in. I hope you are enjoying the stream today. Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe again. There will be a mock draft tonight after the actual stream is done. So keep your eyes out for that. We're going to have everything that you need to see today when it comes to draft lottery content, mock draft, everything that you could imagine is going to be here today. Flight to Sacramento would be insane. And we're going to simulate the lottery one more time here. Philadelphia, Dallas up to number 2, and Houston up to number 3. Wow, what a crazy, crazy outcome that is. But again, we are getting very close to the actual lottery now at this point. Sacramento getting 1 would be absolutely crazy. Dallas and Houston jumping in this one. Philadelphia getting the first pick. Heck, one more time. Sim the lottery one more time. The final second, New Orleans, Portland, Toronto, and then Utah in the top 4. What a crazy, crazy turn of events. We're going to reset this here now. We're going to go back over to the subscriber count, and let's get the audio playing here. Are you guys, let me see if you guys are able to hear this. I've made a couple of changes. Hopefully this is working now for you. I have to mute. It's going to commercial. So we haven't missed anything yet, so don't worry. Okay, we're at commercial right now on ESPN. So I've got that pulled up. Everything is working just fine. Really poor quality. Okay. Let me make a couple adjustments here. I'm going to turn that. Let me try and fix this here quick for you. Okay, my audio might have just gotten louder. We'll see. What we're going to do. How about now? Is this better? Make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe. Nick, that's crazy. That lottery simulation is crazy. We will see what happens. Again, if you guys want to support the channel, make sure to go smash that like button and subscribe. Go hit the links in the description. That's some of the best ways to do it. The draft is not today, just the draft lottery, Paul. The draft lottery today. 407 here says, as a Magic fan, I want Walter Clayton Jr. He's a perfect fit. Just the lottery today. Robert says yes, that you guys can hear it. It does look like we are at commercial break. Okay, so they are going through the representatives right now. I'm keeping my eyes on it. Results are not live yet, but again, here are my predictions for the actual draft lottery. Washington at 1, Brooklyn at 2, Philly at 3, and the Hornets at 4. We will have the odds up on the channel here for you guys so that you can see what the odds are as we go through this. You're not up to the podium yet. Results are not in yet. Lottery is just about to commence. The draft lottery show started at 7 p.m., which is what's starting right now. So we will see what ultimately happens here. Draft lottery reveal in 14 minutes. Here's Giannis news. according to Sham, substantive conversations about Giannis this week. "13 minutes away from the reveal." Okay, just 13 minutes. You don't hear the stream at all? I will be right back in 1 second. Again, the reveal is not happening for 13 minutes, okay? All right, I'm hoping that this is working now. Let me double check something here. Appreciate you guys all so much. Again, I'm working on making sure that this audio is working. appreciate you guys all so much for watching still. Obviously, I'm still in the process of making sure everything is working. Okay, we are back. I am still working on trying to fix the audio solution as best as I can here. Having a little bit of difficulty. I think maybe moving it over to this side might work. We are going to try and play around with it. Okay, I'm sorry for any of the struggles. Obviously, tried my best to plan this out. Some things are just having a little bit of difficulty, but still having fun overall. I hope you guys are still enjoying all of the content. Remember, today was the beginning of some of the measurements as well. So we have some information. Appreciate everyone. Make sure to guys go follow over on Twitter. Link is in the description for that as well. Appreciate you guys a ton. Really excited for the actual draft lottery here. We're just a little bit of a ways away. Of course, going to be tweeting all of my thoughts as it comes in too. So I hope you guys are enjoying. Make sure to comment down below. Let's see what else we can do here to try and help this out. We are doing our best. Hopefully you guys do enjoy. I think the audio should be coming in here a bit. They have music playing right now, so I'm being careful with copyright, as you guys could imagine. Here we go. A lot of the prospects obviously in attendance there. In fact, the majority of them. Cooper Flagg on the screen now, talking about where he will potentially be playing next year. So in terms of odds, we'll go back to the draft lottery odds. Just a reminder here as well. Utah, Washington, Charlotte, New Orleans, Philadelphia, Brooklyn, in that order, have the best odds at a number one pick. Representatives on stage now. We are meeting the reps. Ellis. Keon Ellis is the representative. As I tweeted earlier today. Orlando Blackman for Dallas. Monty Kamara for Portland. Elijah Wan. Appreciate you guys. Dallas should have sent Nico for luck. Jordy Fernandez. Zion for New Orleans. New Orleans getting pick one would be interesting, obviously. Charles Lee representing the Hornets. Here we go. They're coming out. Now is the time. It's starting right now. Here we go. What we've been waiting for all day long. I hope you guys do enjoy. Mark Tatum. Here we go. I'll break it down as we go, too. Remember, here's the order. If we hear anything other than this pick right now. The Spurs via Hawks are at 14. That pick did not move up. Here we are. Atlanta via Sacramento stays. The Kings do not have a first-round pick now this year. The Chicago Bulls stay at number 12. Officially at number 12. The Dallas Mavericks jumped! Oh my gosh! Holy shit! Oh my gosh, the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks have jumped into the top 4. Oh my gosh, the Spurs! The Spurs! Oh my gosh! The Nets are at 8. Oh my gosh. This is do or die time now for Philly. Philly's keeping their pick. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Holy shit. This is insane. Oh my, Dallas, San Antonio, Philly all in the top 4. It'll either be Utah or Charlotte at 5. It's Utah. Utah's pick 5. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The top 4. Spurs, Mavericks. Oh my gosh. Hornets and 76ers. Oh my gosh. What is going on? This is insane. This is insane. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is so insane. This is so insane. Holy cow. The Jazz have pick 5 and the top 4, not in this order. Spurs, Mavericks, Hornets, 76ers. One of these 4 teams will have Cooper Flag. 3 of them are terrifying. Philadelphia, San Antonio, or Dallas would be terrifying for other NBA teams. Oh my goodness. I hope you guys are enjoying what is going on. Holy cow. Big J says that settles things. Luka confirms the fix is in. FT Hydro, people are screaming rigged right now. Amadou says Cooper is sweating. Mark is triggered. Jay Peach is not happy. The Spurs, Mavericks, Hornets, and 76ers. What is going on? Oh my gosh. Leave a like on the stream if you are shocked by what you are seeing right now. This is absurd. This is absurd. This is a nightmare for some teams. Specifically looking at Washington at 6, Utah at 5. Oh my gosh, what an outcome. This is a crazy top 4. This is an absolutely this would have been a nightmare for Philly. They had 2 teams below in San Antonio and Dallas jump into the top 4. Doesn't even matter. They move up into the top 4 as well. My fiance's pick before the night, remember, she picked Charlotte to get the first overall pick. They're still in the running here as well. Comment down below right now who you think is getting Cooper Flag. Is it San Antonio, Dallas, Charlotte, or Philadelphia? Oh my gosh. I thought it was going to be the Washington Wizards coming into tonight. They have the 6th pick now. They will not be landing Cooper Flag. What a crazy turn of events this lottery has been. This is one of the craziest lotteries in recent NBA history. Oh my gosh. I'm seeing a lot of people saying Spurs, but some are really hoping it's the Charlotte Hornets, for the love of God. Oh my gosh. A lot of people praying it's the Hornets. Emerald King saying Spurs aren't fair. Patrick says Dallas. Dude, if it's Dallas, the amount of people that are going to think it's rigged is insane. Look at what I tweeted earlier today. Let me follow it. The scariest things, Spurs' second scariest outcome would have been them getting the first overall pick. And in the everyone thinks it is rigged category, the Mavericks getting pick 1 would send the league into a frenzy. The top 4, in no order yet: San Antonio, Dallas, Charlotte, Philadelphia. Remember, the Hornets do have the best odds at the actual first pick, but none of that matters now. It takes one combination to win the first overall pick. It could have been San Antonio, who had a 6% chance, 60 combinations. It could have been Dallas, who, if we remember right, had a 1.8% chance, just 18 combinations out of 1,000. To have this first overall pick, still possible. Philadelphia, pretty good odds coming into this as well. If you look back at their odds, they had a 10.5% chance. And we are back to the draft lottery now. This is where things are. Never mind, we're back to actually, no, we are not at commercial. We are back at the draft lottery. They're showing a flashback back to the frozen envelope for Patrick Ewing. What a crazy draft lottery it is. People are freaking out right now. Oh my gosh. Give it to the Hornets. These other teams do not deserve this at all, says Peyton. Show the odds, please. Yes, we will go back to the odds. Here are the odds again. Remember, Dallas, just a 1.8% chance. San Antonio, 6% chance. The Hornets, 14%. That didn't help Washington or Utah. And Philly has a 10.5% chance. Is it trust the process? Is it Flag plus Wemby? What will it be? What a shakeup in this lottery. Oh my goodness. Daryl Morey seems to be smiling. He's on the screen right now. Is it going to be Philly? Oh my gosh. Here we are, 2,000 people watching live. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're enjoying. Mock draft will be coming out tonight. Oh my gosh. The Dallas Mavericks fly up to the top 4. San Antonio in the top 4. Here we are. Oh my gosh, the Hornets are at 4. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, pick 3 is, oh my gosh, what is going on? Pick 2. Oh my gosh, the Mavericks got Cooper Flag. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, pick 2. San Antonio Spurs. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, Mavericks get pick 1. I can't believe it. Oh my gosh, what a crazy lottery. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm a Mavericks fan. I can't believe this, dude. Oh my gosh, this is the 4th worst odds to win the lottery since 1985. The Dallas Mavericks. Oh my, this is the first time on a live stream something good happened for me. Oh my gosh. People are screaming rigged. Oh my gosh, and I can't even blame them. I thought so myself. In the everyone thinks it's rigged category, Mavericks get pick 1. What in the world happened? Oh my gosh, absolutely insane. All right, everyone, I have a mock draft I need to go record. What I want you to do right now, everyone congratulate me by leaving a like and subscribing. What a crazy turn of events. Just absolutely shocking. One that obviously I could have never foreseen actually happening. Wow. Just 100 subscribers away from 33,000. Solid J Ken says, as soon as they traded Luka, I said they're getting the number 1 pick. This is true. J Ken, appreciate you. Thank you so much for the 5. Oh my goodness. I am so shocked. Oh, I just can't believe this. I can't believe it. Oh my gosh. Shout out to FinDraft. I can't believe it. I cannot believe Cooper Flagg is a Dallas Maverick. I am so over the moon. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't believe it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you have enjoyed the live stream. I need to go record a mock draft. Absolutely insane. Thank you all again so much. Really do appreciate you. Let's get some confetti in here for a successful draft lottery. I hope you guys did enjoy. I know a crazy one. We've got a lot of shakeups, a lot of different stuff going on. But now we're in position here for the rest of the draft cycle to look at trades, look at possibilities. Dallas now with pick 1, completely changing their franchise. How lucky could this organization be after making such a terrible, perilous decision to trade away Luka Doncic? They now have Cooper Flagg in what is a franchise-altering move. I wonder if Nico Harrison's working the trade machine yet. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Again, leave a like, subscribe, and I got to go get some more work done here now with that mock draft that's coming out very soon. Stay tuned for that.